I won't be able to.
Go talk.
While I'm talking, I won't be able to looking at the chat, so inform me because I won't be looking at the things.
All right, well, we're live now.
But there we go. Hello, everyone.
It's funny because I've been getting calls and messages from people and asking me if I want to set the world on fire today, and I told them I don't think we're going to do that today.
Come on, man. I ain't got nothing else to do.
I guess it depends how you feel. I guess it depends how you feel. I don't know. I'd say I don't think the world of fire at all.
No, it's just
a discussion.
Exactly, and it's so funny because I always find it fascinating how people tend to fall into these teams, camps, whatever it is you want to call it, and it's so interesting because once that happens, it seems like people turn their brain off and they no longer think for themselves, and they start kind of justifying what it is they want to believe in and make it seem like that's the only way to do things. And I'm not saying everybody does that, but there are. You start noticing some situations where you start seeing these teams, camps, philosophies, whatever it is you want to call it. And
even street protest, mob mentality, I guess, is the way to put it. But
but mob mentality is a pretty harsh term to use that because that usually includes like violence and all that stuff. And I don't see that happening in our community, but there are some philosophies that people tend to make them gospel, I guess, is what I
was trying to avoid being religious, but gospel. I'll go with that.
But anyways, before we really get into this, let's get some housekeeping out of the way. First of all, I want to thank everybody that's here with us. We already are up to 29 people that are watching this. Thank you guys so much for being here. I also want to thank the three of you guys not only for promoting this, but I know a couple of you guys reached out to other members of the community. I think Ron, I saw him post something. Garage Aquatics. He made a post. I believe Sailing Aquatics. Jesse.
Sailing made a funny one. I ain't gonna lie, that was a little funny.
Well, he's kind of gotten into that groove where he's been doing these humorous ones, and I want to thank them for doing that. And hopefully, I'm not forgetting somebody else. But those are the ones that I remember seeing. Besides you three, putting stuff out there about today's live stream. So. With that being said, go ahead, Jason.
No. I know. Joy wanted to get some. What's the word I'm looking for?
Guidelines.
Some background stuff out. No. Background stuff out of the way as far as who we are. Okay, what we bring to the table.
All right.
So, if he ever comes back, I guess we could start with him. We start with who we want to start with until he gets back.
Well, Sean, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit of your background in the hobby? And I guess for some reason, Jose wanted to see if maybe our past work experiences had something that could contribute to what we do in the hobby. I don't think in Mikey's it does, but I know in Jose's, he feels that his background is pretty important.
I have an IT background with work, so I'm good with like computer hardware networks, setting up servers, all that kind of stuff. So I don't know how that could be applied to what you're thinking, but
how long you been fish keeping?
When it comes to fish keeping, well, okay, you said backgrounds, so that's one thing I can do. Fish keeping goes all the way back to when I was a little kid, probably about 8 years old. They built a mall, new shopping center, and the pet shop got placed in there. And that was it. It's my second home until I was about 13. And they couldn't pay me because there was child labor laws. So they had a little book for me and they wrote down credit. And I had a whole freaking zoo at my house. Like I lived there. So I had a whole zoo at my house. And so I've had all kinds of fish. But it's the stuff you could get in the 80s, And we get a lot of neat things now that we then. So And then I started life young, and kids life. Well, now I'm older. I got time to myself again for once, and I decided to try discus because when I was young, everyone told me they'd die and they wouldn't let me do it, and I wanted to do it, so I'm doing it now. That's it. That's my background.
Now, you said animals, so you also have a little bit of background in reptiles and insects and stuff
Yeah,
like
like
that?
an extensive pet shop with all of the things you could buy at a pet shop that has everything. And then I kind of lived there when I was a kid,
Right.
with adults teaching me along the way. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I don't know what's going on with my internet. It was I thought it was obviously on my end, but anyway, if it continues acting up, I'm just going to stay with my phone. I could hear you because I was listening on my phone, but anyway, I guess I could start, right, Joe Jorge? With
Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. I noticed Patty is on. Hello to everybody. I cannot keep up with the chat on my phone for now, but if you guys would occasionally make comments and be hard to speak and read at the same time. I have an iPad here, which I just have some bullet points, just to stay on course. I just want to make it clear that that this is not about blaming anybody or saying you're better than mine. This is not at all about water changes. You do whatever changes, whatever works for you. There is no real magical number here as to what Secret Brothers did a video the other day, and he basically says what's different for you. Some of my tanks, I do 80% water changes because that works for me, because of my work schedule. And if I do them all at once, I know I'm done for the week. If I'm doing treatment, I may do daily because that's what the requirement is. But if some of the tanks I have done 3 months, if you have a 120-gallon tank, well planted with one guppy, you could probably never have to do water changes. This is not what this live is about. Now, the other thing is that I reacted to Patty's live the other day with Corey. And the reason why I reacted is because there is this feeling that you should never have to do water changes because, quote unquote, this natural tanks. And one of the things, I mean, if you want to look at the video, anybody who didn't see it and know what I'm talking about, you have this natural tank. And I said there's nothing natural about fish in a box. If you want to talk about natural, we're going to talk about fish in rivers and lakes where there is an actual water movement, even when it's not apparent that there's a water movement, that is stagnant water. Rain comes and washes some of that away. There are floods and so on. So there's always something happening. It's an active system. And that was primarily one of the things that I wanted to get into because it was and one of the things Corey said, well, you have no filtration, you have no water movement, no aeration, and you don't do water changes at all. And then I kind of reacted more to the whole idea because one of the things I think that as YouTubers, we have a responsibility to provide. We influence people, we influence opinions, and people rely on us to give them information. Now, somebody calls and asks, how often should I do a water change? Funk will say something, Mexicali will say something, Sean and myself. Everybody's going to say something different because each person's situation is very different. And that's one of the things we have to keep in mind. This is not about that. But I really wanted to focus more on the science, why I think the natural tank is a very unnatural thing, which is, it was kind of, this is what kind of my thing was. And, things have been said, now this is being said because Corey said it. And now because Corey is who he is, it's not because of Corey said it. Offline, Jorge and I were speaking about the fact that the hobby comes in waves, right? I am the new kid in the block. My channel is 1 year old because I finally listened to my wife. She said, listen, you've been keeping fish for your life since I'm about 8. Why don't you share the information? So my son, my 16-year-old, actually put the channel together for me, edited my first video. And then I said, I better learn quickly. So I just want to give you a little bit of background of where I'm heading to this. I know there's a lot of us who are, not including myself, for now, but there's a lot of people who are attention deficit disorder. Well, you want the information around, hurry up, Jose, get to the point. My sister's one of those, which is like, give me the short version of it. So sometimes some topics are hard to give you a very short version, but I'll do my best anyway. I am a nurse by training, 41 years for whoever don't know that. I do a lot of emergency room most of my life, and I have a very vast experience in the medical field. Now, there's a lot of experts out there in YouTube, right? And I'll tell you, anecdotes for me always helpful because you help remember. I was telling Jesse, you jumping into the ground and said, F you if you don't do water changes, or if you think, his whole line that he's doing late. So with one of the things that a lot of the times in my work area, some people will say, oh, we're going to call Jose. He's the expert. So when, oh, you're the expert, I say, no. I'm not an expert. That's a dirty word. That's my typical line. I said, I have a lot of gray hairs, which means that I've done this a lot, right? So it's not about, being an expert in anything. I'm not an expert in myself. I think probably my wife is more of an expert on me than I am. So as a kid, since 8, I've been keeping fish, and a lot of the times in my field, I have had a lot of what I want to call them mic drop moments. Again, if it sounds like I'm blowing smoke of my tutu, it's maybe it might sound like that to some of you, but I want you guys to know that I really want to talk a little bit of science without getting boring or staying in the, stay within what I'm trying to talk. But I promise you that I will go around and come to the point of no water changes and these natural tanks, right? Now, in my area, we work as a team, nurses, doctors, and there's a way of talking to people without being, ruffling a lot of feathers. You can say things with constructive criticism. And one of the things that we learn over time, where a doctor or a resident wants to do something, and then you say, probably we should try this drug first because it may be more effective, like in an arrest. And they say, Jose, you're right. Let's try that one and you give them reasons, and they listen to you, right? My second job is an emergency room. My primary job, I've been in a particular hospital. It's one of the biggest in the country. I keep names out of people and so on. Now, in this situation, I've taken care of a former president of U.S., kings and queens of other places, and a lot of celebrities that you know. And I've also taken care of 3 major religious leaders, to the level of the Pope for another religion. So I've had a lot of exposure to different people, and working with people, as all of us who may be in the service industry, is not an easy thing to do. So you could say things without being offensive and being a little bit more, not politically correct, but there's a way of saying things without getting to people's back. So give me a second here, guys. Now, one of the things that he said also was, I'll get back to some of the mic drop moments that I was talking about. I am new in YouTube, not new to fish keeping, as none of us are. And one of the also things that he said was, why about people trying to sell stuff to lazy people. Now, we all have lives. I have 2 full-time jobs essentially, and my times, I have 1 day off a week. I come during the night and do more water changes, and Saturday's a day because it works for me. So as far as the lazy people, as he said it, we get into fish keeping because we like to keep fish. That's why I do it. I love plants as much as I like fish, or probably a little less than I do like the fish. But the thing, if you get into fish keeping and then suddenly you want to find a way where you don't have to take care of the tanks. I mean, if you have, I know, Jorge, you have the dirty tank, you have some dirty tank, you have mentioned it that many times, and you've gone away for a couple of weeks, and they take care of themselves. These are small fish. Not every fish can handle this kind of system, right? And if you have, I have currently 11 active tanks. I'd like to have more, like most of us, right? But I can manage these in about an hour and a half a day of water changes once a week, and occasionally a little bit more when I have to do more and do gravel backing to those that I need to. And the point of all this is that if you have too many tanks and you find that you need to find a way where you don't have to do water changes, then why be in the hobby, right? Why keep fish? Again, this is my opinion, guys. And I'm talking about going to extreme. There's an in-between that we all can agree on, but then there are the extremes. Example, you have to do daily water changes with discus. That's BS, right? Discus are like any other fish, and funkiers say you have had a series of the point on the discus all this week. So I'm going to just tell you a few basic things that is going to tie up to this as far as what I'm trying to get to. We know that the hobby is costly. So if you want to save money, one of the things that Corey got into, the least expensive thing in the hobby is probably providing an air pump to give air to the fish, to the oxygen. And the guy said, "Oh, they're not gasping for air; they look fine," and so on. I can tell you that in my practice, not fish keeping, a person looks perfectly fine. Oxygen level, which easily we can measure, could be 82%. The person is not gasping for air. It should be above 94%. Now, this person with that kind of oxygen level, we're getting ready to put a tube down your throat and breathe for you with a ventilator, right? Just because a person looks okay or the fish looks okay doesn't mean the oxygen is okay in that water, right? So that's one point about the oxygenation and the air also providing air movement. I mean, not water movement. So you have that about being costly. Now we know the hobby is costly, right? My wife worked at some point in a service industry, and she worked at a place that did the service car. Now you have people with expensive cars complaining that the oil change was probably going to cost whatever it was going to cost because that's what the part costs. So if you cannot afford to have an expensive car and you're going to complain about an oil change being expensive, then there's a balance that you have to try to keep. I know this may be getting a little bit long. I'll get to the point, I promise you. So
yeah, it's getting a little long and a little lost. Why don't we just focus more on what we came to talk about?
All right, go ahead. Which I was trying to get to it anyway. So the point is that you have a lot of the a lot of things, a lot of contaminants that would stay in this water, which Sean likes to call swamp water. You have TDS, which is what is CDS? It could be a bunch of shit in there, mixed in there. Eventually, there's a capacity or normal capacity that the water can no longer hold. The plants are not going to absorb everything. They can do some of the job, but eventually that cup is going to overfill and it's not going to be able to hold the system steady. There is bacteria. There's a lot of other stuff in there. I mean, some of the things that I wanted to cover, I know it's going to get a little bit long, but the point is that the whole system cannot be a safe system as they're claiming to be. Okay. We'll continue on because I don't want to make this long or boring. I could, go on.
Hey, how y'all doing out there? So here's my thing as far as what's been said so far and what I'd like to say, what I'd like to add to this conversation and what I think a lot of people in the chat want to talk about. First of all, I do all different types of aquariums. I see good and bad in everything. I've been doing fish tube, this thing, for going on over 6 years now. And what I've noticed is YouTube is a funny place. First of all, a lot of people in YouTube seem to think that we are the fish hobby. We are not the fish hobby. In fact, there's more people who don't watch YouTube that keep aquariums than do. So a lot of times when we make these blanket statements of everybody this or da-da-da, I think it's a little bit it's a little bit off because we're not the majority in the fish keeping world. We really are not. In fact, we're not even the majority in YouTube in the fish genre. There's a whole bunch of other little fish genres that you come across. You're like, I don't know none of these people. So a lot of times we think this is because we consume so much YouTube. We think this is what's going on in the world, and it's really not. As far as the mud water tank, living in Florida, I have a great opportunity to see mud water environments. They're literally out here all the time. I look out my window. There's mud water environments that do just fine. That's natural. It's 100% natural. Mud water environments. In fact, the farmers out here, they literally dig a hole and let it fill up with water, groundwater, and that's where a lot of us get our fish from. The fish farms are literally holes in the ground. No filtration, no nothing. So there is something to say about the muddy water tanks or whatever. People have been talking about this for over 25 years. So it's not new. It's nowhere near new.
Even if you dig a hole in the ground, it's still moving groundwater. It's not.
It is.
Okay, it gets evaporated. No. It gets evaporated. It gets evaporated, then gets replenished. The same thing with topping off a tank that gets evaporated and it gets replenished. What's that?
It's just a mud hole, or is it like a swimming pool lined with concrete, or is it a mud hole? Because there's a difference.
No. You get a backhoe. You dig a big hole.
That's pretty much a natural environment. I agree. It's nothing like a fish tank, though.
What's the difference? A dirty fish tank and these farms. No. I'm saying, what's the difference between a dirty tank with no air, no circulation, and what these people are doing out here now? There's nothing.
Well, because they're digging a hole in the ground, right? And the ground is a whole bunch of molecules and grains of sand and mud that are sitting together in like a big sea that's hundreds of miles long. And although it looks like a hole in the ground that filled up with water that filled up in that hole, because you're in swampland, is at sea level, right? It's at sea level. So although it doesn't look like the water is moving through the ground and through your hole, it is. It's flowing like a freaking river, okay?
No,
so that is not a fish tank.
It's really not. I mean, you could come out here and check. It's really not. It's really not.
Well, okay, sorry. I might have misunderstood what you said earlier, because you said that would be exactly the same as what I call a swamp tank, and
it is. Yeah. It's a hole with water and dirt and land.
Your glass box is absolutely nothing like that pit that's dug in the ground at sea level with water moving through it constantly.
I'm not talking about your aquarium. I'm talking about these dirty tank aquariums.
Yeah, I'm talking about the equivalency of that hole in the ground to the dirty tank aquarium. Not the same thing. But anyway, what's wrong with the dirty tank aquarium? I'm gonna move on to that.
Before we even continue, I hate this concept of no filter, because that does not exist. There isn't a single system that doesn't have
the mud in the ground with the groundwater constantly moving through it is the filter in the case of your example.
No.
There's a filter there.
It's
a very good one. It's probably one of the best in the world. That's the smartest thing you could do in that situation, to have filtered water for free and do nothing about it. Is dig a hole.
So you agree with Novak? You agree with Novak?
I agree that digging a hole at sea level would anybody's fish tank in the whole world for filtration. I think you're right if that's the example you were trying to make. I'm just a little confused as to the hole in the ground being.
It's a container with water in it.
It's not a container. It's a hole in water. It's like okay, going out on the ice, okay, which is 100% water, okay, and then digging a hole in the ice, right? Now I know the ice is frozen in this case, the example I'm using, but it's all is my point. It's a sheet of water. Now when you go to a mud plain, okay, instead of it being frozen ice, okay, it's one big sheet of water that's mixed with various viscosities of mud. And the water that's moving through that 16,000 miles of mud is all flowing. So that water is essentially being filtered because it's moving. Even though you're looking at a pit stationary in the ground full of water, the water in that pit is and leaving it all day long.
Roger, Dodger. So you agree with Dr. Novak then? Then you're cool with Dr. Novak.
I'm trying to say that I don't think your example is anything like a fish tank. I think your example is closer to being an ocean.
Okay, well, look.
Your example is closer to being an ocean than a fish tank.
Not at all. Not at all.
Equivalency or not false equivalency? I'm just trying to get past that part because I want to understand where your thinking's at, so that I can move on to some examples.
Look,
well, my thinking is that
I want to go to something even a lot more simpler, and this is a misconception. And I think a lot of the fault falls on us that keep aquariums that only have biological filtration. To say that you have a filterless system is a misnomer. That does not exist, because if you don't have any filtration in the aquarium, you're going to end up killing your fish. The problem is when we try to describe a system that is purely filtered on biological filtration, we're trying to say that we don't have mechanical filtration and means of sponge filters, hang on the bags, canisters, none of that stuff. We're doing the filtration through a natural process of biological filtration. That's really what it is. So there isn't no such thing as a filterless aquarium. That does not exist. That's every system has a sort of filtration in it. The way it goes about filtering is different.
True. Because all we're trying to do is get the toxins out of our water. That's what I'm here to talk about.
Okay.
Not necessarily even the type of filters people use, because I really don't care what kind of filter.
Yeah.
My view on filters is the more the merrier.
Agree,
I love filtration.
I would almost agree that the idea of
doing, I have all of them.
Okay. I would also agree that we all probably believe that at some point you need to do water changes. Now,
I think so.
I think where the difference may be is on the frequency when water changes are done or how they're done. And I think that's where there's a little bit of a difference where people, I think that's where the rub is really, is where you start getting people that don't agree on the frequency and how to do them. Go ahead, Sean.
I think that's what a lot of people argue about, but that's not what I've been talking about. I've been talking about the biology in the water, which is what I think Jose was trying to get at earlier.
Okay.
And we use filters to control that biology to a degree, and a lot of us are underestimating the biology in the water. And because of the green water, that for now, we can call it swamp tank, whatever you want. I say swamp tank because maybe I'm being a little, maybe it doesn't sound nice. I'm sorry if it upsets somebody if I call it a swamp tank. I made them. I went and made 2 tanks like that because I was curious. I came back to the hobby after a couple of decades because I got some time. Roughly 2 years ago, I started watching YouTube because the world had changed and I needed to catch up, right? And then I'm watching all this green water stuff and I'm interested in it. And I think, well, okay, so all the bacteria floating around in my water column, they're telling me that's good because it's helping my cycle. Am I wrong? Have I stepped out of bounds here yet? I don't. That's what they've been telling us. Like, that's what I was learning over the course of the last 2 years. So hold on, let me finish my thought.
Okay, I'm sorry, I thought you did. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Go on.
So basically, what they're doing is producing an environment that's going to make the free floating bacteria in your water column be okay, and that will give you a cycle. And that's what we're all after, like filtration, whatever it is. You're trying to achieve a cycle so that your fish don't die from toxins. That's everyone agrees on that. That's but it's how do we get there? How do we get there? They're telling you to fill up your tank with mud from outside and put all kinds of biology into your water column, and that's going to give you a cycle, and it will. But it's the most unstable cycle you'll ever achieve in your whole life. Okay, because
I don't think so.
Too many. Well, I'm trying to explain my view.
I know, but I'm just saying I've done it too, and they've actually been. I'm not a big fan of those type of tanks for the most part, but I can tell you my most stable tanks have been my dirty tanks.
Okay.
What kind of slug did you have in there also?
Anything. I would find whatever and throw it in there. And it would always stable out.
Not any dirty tank I made, but that's me. That might be a situation, but this is my situation. But anyway, I was trying to explain the biology of a fish tank because it's an enclosed environment. It has nothing to do with nature like that pit in the ground, which is actually closer to being in the ocean than a closed box.
I think you need to come out here and check it out. I don't think you.
Oh, I understand physics very, very well, sir.
I'm just saying.
We've got, and I'll make a video about my ocean analogy later because it'll take too long, and I don't want to bore people. We're back to the biology. Water now, it's floating around the water. You got biology floating around your water. That's bacteria, and you can call it beneficial if you want, but it isn't because you got 100 different breeds and varieties in there and whatever, and they multiply like either in 45 seconds or 2 minutes or 6 minutes or 7 minutes. But the stuff we want is supposed to live on our surfaces, and it takes 3 days to multiply. So the bacteria is going to go to war. The stuff we want, the stuff we really don't need. The stuff we really don't need is going to compete the stuff we want that's sticking to everything. Okay, the stuff we want to stick into everything cannot get into our fish's gills. It will never, ever get into your fish's gills. It won't climb off the slime on the rock, jump in your fish's gills, and kill them. The stuff in your water column will. It's going to. That's the lesson here. Why is the Wallstead method a piece of? Because it'll do this instead of this. And that's it.
Isn't
that's
that
my
why
message.
people do water
You want to
changes?
keep ornamental fish like a discus. You're not going to put them in a certain kind of tank.
Discus ain't the only ornamental fish out there. I mean, I don't know why you're so stuck on this whole There's a lot of people keep different types of fish. So just say you don't like it for discus doesn't mean that the whole system sucks. I mean, it doesn't mean that the whole system sucks because you don't like it for discus.
It's not for discus. I'll pull up a list of all the fish that will be harmed.
Yeah, but I don't think we're disagreeing. I don't think we're disagreeing with the fact that maybe not being the proper setup for discus.
How about we do an exercise? You don't want to take my word for it, okay?
Sean,
what are you talking about, bro? Like, slow down. Slow down. Hold on.
No, I'm not slowing down. You're stepping on me. You're trying to step on me.
Because you're like going way the hell off. You're going way the hell off topic, bro. It's about. It's about.
What's your topic?
Discord. Father fishes. Listen. Calm down, dude. Just because you're loud, don't make you right. Just because you're loud, don't make you right.
Here's something. Look, if we want to have this
conversation, I'm going to listen to Aquafon because you need to be heard. I'm sorry. I'm going to listen to you. Please continue.
Look, you guys are acting like a bunch of fucking teenagers, and we're grown men.
I guess
and
we
we're
are.
grown men with
I'm trying
hair.
to speak, and you like what I was hearing.
If you guys can't just respect and let the person finish their thought, then this is not going to work.
Exactly. But who didn't let who finish their thought is my here. Roll the tape back and tell me who did that.
Go ahead and finish what it is you're trying to
explain. I was speaking, right?
Yes, go ahead.
No, I'm done now because he stepped on me and he's trying to ruin my thought because it was making too much sense, I guess. I don't know.
Okay, well then I'll continue. And here's the thing. I don't think any of us here disagree with the fact that maybe discus are not the appropriate fish for a Wallstead method. That's
again, I give you a list of at least 20 of them.
Stop stepping on them.
Okay.
Yeah, I did. I stepped on them.
And I would kind of rebuttal that because I currently keep fish in similar systems. It's not a Wallstead method because I don't think anybody that is doing aquariums is really doing 100% Wallstead system. I think what's happened is everybody's taking. I never claim I've done it, but look, here's the thing. I know people that have done dirted tanks like myself have learned through the times that there's certain things that do work and are a little bit more efficient, and you just kind of taper it or customize it to suit your needs. I've never been one to say don't ever do water changes either. Okay. I thought we were going to allow each other to speak.
I am.
Okay. And so the idea is, I don't think any of us disagree on the fact that water changes are good. I think that's that is something that is not really up for debate. I don't think any of us in this group, it's really something where there's a lot of question. Now, frequencies and how they're done and what percentages, that's where everybody has a different take on how to do them. Also, it's going to vary a lot on the type of bioload you have in there, the type of species of fish you have in there. Obviously, your Oscars are going to produce a lot more waste, especially with the number of fish that you have, that is going to be it's going to require a water change more than maybe my guppies in the 10-gallon tank that I have, because they're just, the body mass is different. The waste that they're producing is obviously going to be less. It's not comparable. So your water changes are going to be dictated on what you feel your parameters require it to do. So there's no difference. And then how much you want to do, that's up to you. You could do whatever percentage, maybe every 3 days, or you can do 100%. That doesn't matter. I don't think there's a big problem with that. I'm not here in a scheduled where every week I do tanks. I kind of go around and a lot of times I'll do a water change when I can't remember when was the last time I did a water change. That's the way it works for me, to be honest. And but you know, I think it's the reason this becomes so contentious and so argumentative is because we're trying to dictate that based on these type of fish, discus in this case, you have to do it this way. I don't necessarily feel that's the case. All right, well then, what is it, Sean?
First off, I was never talking about filtration. I think you guys were. I think you guys thought that I was talking about filtration, but I haven't been. I'm talking about biology in the water that kills fish versus water that will never kill your fish. I'm talking about water that might kill your fish versus water that will never kill any of your fish.
Okay.
If you had a choice between two waters to drink, which one would you? The water that might kill you or the water that will never kill you? Because I'm talking about the biology of the water and not the filter. I'm talking about why the Wallstead method specifically, the Wallstead method specifically is actually bad for fish. That's been the thing that I've been talking about the last while on YouTube.
Okay.
And
can I get it?
Go ahead.
That's where we're going.
All right. Now, there's a few points that as you guys were arguing, that I'm trying to say, this has gone not the way I was hoping that it was going to go. But anyway, this is supposed to be a conversation, not an argument. But one of the points is Stephen P., I believe, said that first was Peplin. He says that in his pond, is a dirty pond, there's actually water movement, although this is not apparent. Water will come in, it'll filter through the ground. And this is an active, this is not a closed system, as I believe was Stephen P. that said, this is not a closed system. The problem, I think, with the no water change thing, we're talking about a closed system. You're going to put, and I think also the Wallstead method, I don't know that well because it's not something that I like or will get into. Probably not. I'm going to say never. But the thing is that there is a limited thing there. You just keep topping water. Remember that the water has a finite number of stuff you can dissolve in it. After that, what the excess, what are you going to do with it? If you just keep topping off, at some point, you should replace some of the water, is what I think, because it's not a natural system. It's a closed system. As much as naturally want it to be, the plants are not going to filter. Some stuff will filter, but it's not going to take care of everything. Right?
But I don't think any of us are opposed to doing water changes. That's the thing, though. That's what I don't get. Why the hang-up is on not doing water changes.
It's not about the water changing. It's about the quality of the water. Sorry about that.
No, not us. The extreme people that are saying that you don't have to do water change and that they never do a water change because.
But even then, I don't think there's that many people that are that extreme, though. I think almost everybody. I would say 80% of the people that are keeping fish in this community here would agree that some sort of water change will eventually happen.
Yeah,
whether it be adding or whatever.
I watched a guy claim that he had a little short 20-gallon long beside him, and he only topped it up for 15 years, and he was forced to move. And then he brought half that water with him and topped it up again, and sat there for another 20.
Who?
These are the claims they make, and then I can't say. Because
why not?
One is the channel because you're not supposed to do that. I don't want to make a violation for Mexicali on his channel.
It's not going to violate him. It's not going to violate him for saying someone's name.
That's
you can't get violated.
I'm not going to call people out. Okay, but there's people that do that. Is my point. And that tank, would be full of everything that would. Okay, fine. Even if his fish adapted to it, you can't even drop a new fish in; it'll die right away.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
It's not really healthy, but you're telling everybody it is. You're telling everybody it is, and then they're going to do that, and maybe they're not going to be as lucky as you, and everything's going to die. And you don't care because it's getting you clicks.
I keep hearing the Wallstead method being an issue, but I don't know too many people that actually keep a Wallstead tank. Let me put it to you like that. I don't think anybody that I can find on the internet is keeping a 100% Wallstead tank. They might be keeping tanks that were inspired by the Wallstead method, but because the Wallstead method really doesn't even hardly have any fish. I mean, it's mostly plants. It's mostly plants which you're keeping in there.
Tiny.
So but that's why I don't see how it's applicable when we start talking about the Walston method, because I think the Walston method has evolved and it's become something different, and it's a hybrid of the Walston method that a lot of people keep. And I don't think that a lot of people would disagree that a water change would be a bad thing. So, I don't know. I know you had a thought. Okay, go ahead, Jason.
All right. First of all, you're talking about Lou, Father Fish. That's who you're talking about the 20 long with the dirt and the 20 year. That's who you're talking about. Now, here's the thing. I know Lou personally. I don't agree with everything Lou says. For myself, I don't agree with anything. But Lou has like his Discord has like 2,000 people at it at any given time, all doing the same thing. Lou's been doing this type of tank for over 25 years. Lou has, I don't know how many subscribers now of people that decided that's for me. Now, if you've ever talked to Lou, if you ever talked to the man, you would know that he is very accommodating to whatever it is you want to do with your tank. If I go to Lou and I go, Lou, bro, I got a 55-gallon and I got this filter and I got this. What should I do? And he'll probably give me his opinion, but he'll be like, but if this is what you want to do, this is how you do it. So to say that he's like, it's kind of like, come on now, you got to know the man before you start calling him Jim Jones. Before you start calling people Jim Jones, no, don't cut me off. Before you start calling people Jim Jones and saying that he's over here making stuff for clicks, when your whole shtick is talking about other people for clicks. So come on, man. That's your whole thing.
My whole stick is, I've never talked about another person. I'm talking about methods and things. You're turning this around. Okay, so I walked in here today talking about the biology of fish tanks and how beneficial bacteria is better than the free-floating ends up in a green water
I don't
tank.
think we
That's
disagree
why I
with
came
that.
here. I didn't call it.
Nobody disagrees with that. Nobody disagrees with that.
You guys are framing it. You see, I'm not, so that's what I came here to talk about. Okay. I don't know why you're saying nobody disagrees with it, because that's what I came here to talk about. If you think that I came here to talk about something else, you're mistaken. Secondly, the other thing people here have talked about is filtration. I don't care what filtration anyone uses. I really don't. It doesn't matter to me. Okay. The thing I'm trying to talk about is everyone's jumping on the bandwagon. They're filling their water full of soup. Okay, that soup's not good for any fish. There's fish that will tolerate it, but it's not good for anybody. It's like us living in smog. It's not good for anybody. And that bacteria gets into their gills, and it does. Do your research. And it hurts fish, and it causes hole in the head, and it does all those nasty things that you need to buy medicine for. And you have to medicate. But if you can just keep that stuff out of your column, you'll never buy medicine again. And you just make sure that you beneficial bacteria, keep it pure. Do something that will eradicate whatever's in your column. And I know that is what me saying that is what upsetting all the green water people, because, oh my God, blasphemy. I promise you, if you kill everything in your water column, beneficial bacteria, listen, he's going to cut me off because it makes sense. Everything that grows on your surfaces will grow to its maximum. It'll grow to its maximum. There'll be nothing in your column, and you'll have the cleanest water you ever did. You can, and you'll never, that's it. You'll never need meds again. Or you can use meds for the rest of your life. I don't know.
Sean,
that's the way it works.
Again, I don't see why you think we disagree with that concept.
That was the point I've been trying to make. Okay, that's why it's soup. That's why it's a swamp, because swamps have bacteria all over them. They're not safe. You cut yourself, you jump in a swamp, you're not safe.
Okay, I get that analogy because you're saying that it has a high concentration of toxins or whatever. I agree with you on that. I'm not disagreeing with you on that. But I don't. Go ahead. Go ahead, Sean. I know you wanted to say something.
I'm just saying biology.
Okay, biology. What biology? But isn't that the principle behind water changes?
No, because free-floating bacteria will replicate back within 35, 40 minutes. It'll be like you did nothing. You can water change until the sun goes down, and you'll never fix that problem that's destroying your fish's gills. And it'll be sitting there, scratching your head. Why did my fish keep dying? Or why did I have a sudden die-off? It's what I'm talking about right here. There's people that run those tanks all of a sudden, and I watch it all the time. I'm having an emergency. Everything's dying. Yeah, I know.
Okay, but you're saying that you do a water change and within 30 minutes that water is going to be at the same levels before you did the water change? Is that what is that the biology that's going to be in there?
I'm saying that free-floating bacteria that floats in your water column, okay? And there's lots of different kinds, and I can't name them all for you. I really can't. I'd have to pull out books and stuff and try and look things up. But they're in there, and we all know they are because your fish's gills red. That's bacteria in your water column doing that shit. And it shouldn't be there, or else your fish's gills wouldn't be red. And it's going to float around. That stuff multiplies, some of it in seconds. So it's reproducing and doubling its population, sometimes in seconds, other times in minutes. The stuff that we want to keep, and the reason we want to keep it is because it multiplies slowly. It multiplies in 3 days. So if you do everything you can to kill everything in your water column, okay, stuff that grows and sticks to things will get to use all the resources in your tank. All the natural resources in your tank will go to the right bacteria instead of the wrong bacteria. And then you'll have a healthy tank and your fish's gills will never turn red and they won't get brown blood disease and all the rest of the things that happen in green water tanks. And that's my message, period. Nothing to do with filtration, biology.
Okay, but
that's
look,
what
before you say something, Jason, let me find something out. Okay, so if water changes is not the solution to that, what is the solution in your opinion to solve all of those issues?
Well, the easiest solution, because there are a lot of them, okay, is to run a $20 pond UV bulb on whatever size tank you got. Just make sure you shield it so you don't blind yourself, and run water through it, okay? And that will kill everything. It'll eradicate everything in your water column. $20, 13 watts nickel metal highlight. I can give you a link. They last 2 to 4 months, and then you buy another $20 bulb, and your water looks better than it ever did in your whole life. Every scrap of free-flowing bacteria dies.
So let me
all the resources in your water go to the stuff on your surface. And you win.
In your opinion, then, crystal clear water is good water? Is that what this is all going to?
No,
not necessarily.
No. Water
free. I just want to make sure
that will eat your fish's gills is good water.
But I thought ammonia is what damages your fish gills.
It's one thing that damages your fish gills, and bacteria that floats in your water also damages you because it's a life form that's sitting there feeding on the gills. It's like eating it, and then they turn red and they get inflamed. Have you noticed that,
bro?
I don't have an issue. That's why I'm trying to figure it out.
Look, the eyes get cloudy. Have you seen that?
I feel like you're coming at. Hold on. I'm sorry.
I'm talking about symptoms.
Yeah,
I
feel like
we've all seen it. I've seen it.
Again,
not in my tanks. I don't have that issue in my tanks. I don't know what to tell you. Go ahead.
Yeah. So stop. So hold up. I feel like you're coming at this natural water system thing from a very narrow point of view.
How's it narrow? It's biology.
Because it's because I think you have a lot of holes in what you're saying. If everything you're saying is true, how come stop, don't be cutting people off, man. That's what you're crying about. That's what I'm saying. If what you're saying is true, why is it that so many people have been doing it for so long? Can you tell me that? Can you explain that? I mean, over 25 years they've been doing this, but you
25
have figured something different. Over 25 years, yeah, over 25 years. And because you just found out about it recently, I just there's a lot of holes in what you're saying, and I think it's because you don't really understand it.
I don't understand.
Why would somebody who wants a natural aquarium? That's their whole thing. They love nature. They want a natural aquarium. Why would they get a UV filter? That don't make sense.
Yeah, first of all, look, natural aquarium. That's like a misnomer. There's no such thing. Secondly, okay, what's more natural about your aquarium than mine? Tell me that. What does my aquarium have or not have?
I don't really think you know what you're talking about in general, man. You ask a lot of stupid questions.
Following me. I don't think you're following me. Everything that I've said has gone right over your head, bud.
I think you just like talking loudly to try and like instead of working on yourself, you want to go after some other people's ideas. That's what I think.
talk about it. Whose idea?
I
I'm
really
using
don't.
my own ideas, bud. I'm not. You're using
I
everyone
don't
else.
think you have an
My
original
ideas.
idea
Well,
so
no,
far. I
like,
haven't heard anything original.
I don't have an
I've heard
original
little
idea.
bits of
Go look
different
at my fish
arguments.
room, bud.
I've heard of little pieces of other arguments. That's what I've heard. Little bits of other people's arguments.
Okay, so
Nothing
I'd like you to
original.
break down
Nothing
this
original.
video and show me which part of my argument was somebody else's. I'd like to do that. Make a follow up.
I don't
No,
break
I
it
don't
down.
think that's the case.
I've heard this. This is what you're not understanding. You're not the first one to think of this. This is not the first conversation that has ever taken place on YouTube. This is a cycle, bro. In 2 years, this conversation is going to be going on with another group of people. I'm just saying, like, you thinking like you I figured it out. You didn't figure nothing out.
Change the subject. That's
all
all
you're doing is hating on other people's thing because it's not yours.
All right. Let's slow down. You guys are just moving your mouths because I muted both of you. Look, take a break. Take a breather. We're trying to have a conversation. This is really because a little bit out of hand because we're not listening to each other. And I'm trying to listen because your mic is off and your mouth is still running. You guys are so immature. You guys are so immature. You guys need to grow up a little bit. But here's the thing. Look, I'm gonna bring you guys back because I want you. I don't want to do this, but look, the idea is to be able to express our ideas and what we're trying to do. And I'm trying to break down what you're trying to teach me, Sean. And I'm not trying to be difficult. I just want to understand the concepts that you're trying to present me with. And from what I'm understanding, your concern is that there is free floating bacteria that can be harmful to the fish. And the only way or the solution or one of the easiest solutions is to nuke the entire tank to make sure you get rid of that bacteria. This is not, it's okay. So I'm not understanding it. Explain it to me, please.
Okay. So my mic's on. Good. And if someone doesn't like what I'm saying because it doesn't mesh with them, please just let me speak, and then I'll stop and let you speak. It's easier that way. So what I'm trying to say. Oh God, I just lost my what did you just ask me again? Repeat the question, please. Sorry.
Well, no, because you were trying to explain to us that one of the easiest ways to eliminate the bad bacteria in the aquarium is to use a UV light to get rid of it.
Well, yeah, to nuke it. That's right.
Yeah, to nuke it.
I got it now. My thought came back. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. You reminded me. Okay. So I'm not saying nuke bacteria because we need it. And my system here is absolutely loaded with it. I have 2 60-gallon barrels filled with biomedia that are growing bacteria. Bacteria is very important. I have no problem with bacteria.
Okay.
It's just that you need the right kind and there's a wrong kind. I'm trying to say there's a wrong kind. Okay, and swamp tanks are conducive to it. It doesn't mean you're going to get them. If you're a miracle worker, you might avoid the types of bacteria I'm talking about in your swamp tank. I think it's highly unlikely you'll do it for very long.
Here's the problem, because I think your interpretation of a swamp tank is different than what I'm envisioning. Please explain to me what you mean by a swamp tank. What's your definition of a swamp tank?
A swamp tank is a tank that has been topped up for 6 months, has a filter sock on it that's 3.5 years old, and a sump that hasn't been touched, an FX6 that's 2.5 years old. The water's yellow, the fish are disheveled, and there's bubbles all over the top. It almost looks like a betta fish blew a bubble net.
Okay.
That's the sort of swamp tank. And those aren't your tanks, by the way, Callie. Well, none of your tanks look like that because you don't run your operation.
And that's the thing, though.
But there's a lot of people out there doing
you say a lot of people, but if anybody that knows me knows that one of my things that I do is I go through a lot of channels on YouTube. A lot of channels. It's insane the amount of channels that I visit. Now, I'm yet to see what you're describing to me as the aquariums that everybody has out there. I'm not seeing that. So is it something that you personally see on a regular basis, or is it assumption that you're making that everybody that keeps a dirty tank has an aquarium like that?
Here's how it goes. They set it up and it looks fantastic for about 6 to 8 months.
Okay.
And then I go through the video history, and I get to where that same tank's about somewhere between 1.5 and 2 years old.
Okay.
And that's when the problems come. And then
how old are your tanks, Miss Callie?
Mine have been set up for 5 years.
Well, that's shut out the water.
But no. Okay, no. But there's a lot of look. No. Don't do that, Funk, because
No, I'm saying
like what I'm trying to get at. Look, hold on.
I'm saying for those who have the problems, okay, and I'm talking about when I'm at lots and lots of channels, I'm going, and these are people like 5 years ago that gave up, you know what I mean? But they left their channel there. They're all over the place. FishTube is huge. If you look at it, there's all people in all different languages and countries too. I go and I hit the frickin' translate button and there's problems.
Okay.
And I learn from them.
But here's the thing, Sean. I think you can't say that everything is like that based on one incident that you find, because there's a lot of factors that could have happened prior to getting to that situation. No? Okay, you're shaking your head. So what did I say wrong?
Because it keeps coming back to, but Sean, you're generalizing. And I didn't. I never generalized.
Okay.
But Sean, you're talking about filters, but I didn't talk about
is it
filters.
one person then? Is it one person?
No, it's not one person. There's people who are being taught to do things, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I want to give them an alternative to learn. And it seems like
that's fair.
The whole market's being cornered by one ideology. The whole market is being cornered by
though. What are you talking about, man?
Not, but it is. I mean, it's being
dominated. It's not. Stop watching this stuff, and YouTube will stop sending you stuff. It's not.
Okay,
it's not.
It doesn't. I never watch it. I never watch it. People talk to me about it.
Okay.
People talk to me about it, and then they talk to me about the problems they're having because of it. And then I'm like, let me guess. You know. And then what are the symptoms? Pink gills, cloudy eyes. It's always the same crap. A lot of people.
Yeah, but you could also have an aquarium that looks like yours back there that presents the same symptoms in some of the fish.
You could.
See, the problem is there's.
You could. If there was a whole bunch of bacteria in your water that you can't see because you need a microscope to see it, you could.
Yeah, but what I'm getting at is there's other factors. Yeah, what I'm getting at is there's other factors that could cause that problem. It's not a symptom of keeping either a dirty tank, a bare bottom tank, whatever tank you want to call it. It's got nothing to do with that system. It's more of the upkeep of that system that's going to dictate what happens to your fish. All right, can we agree on that?
Sorry, let me rephrase.
Okay.
When everyone talks to me, they've always run their test kits. Their parameters are always perfect. It's still happening anyway. They can't find parasites. They're clueless. Their fish are wasting away. It's the same thing for the same reason. I'm telling you, that reason is
okay.
Is free
Okay,
floating
to address
water.
that issue,
Nobody's paying attention to that.
Here's the thing.
Yeah, so
a water test is not going to be able to test for parasites or infections in your fish.
I know
a water test is for water parameters. And to be honest, the majority of us do them incorrectly. A lot of people do our water test incorrectly.
I'll agree with that.
So you know that could be an issue. I think the big issue here is more of a lack of information to be able to detect whether it's bacterial infections in fish or parasites. They don't know how to read the symptoms to be able to treat that, but I don't necessarily think that it goes 100% with water quality and those situations, because it could be factors like buying a new fish and introducing it to an established aquarium where you're introducing something from the outside that now is causing a problem. I think there's more factors. I think there's a lack of information that is being provided to be able to make a complete analysis of what the problem is.
Yes. And there's a lack of information about being provided too about the pitfalls of certain, like when someone's promoting certain things, they should be like, okay, yeah, but this is what can go wrong. And we're not hearing enough of that. We're not hearing enough of that. And I'm trying to show people that side of it.
Okay.
This is
Sean,
what can go wrong.
hey,
and you know what? When my fish died, I say, look, my fish died. My fish died. I got to figure out why. Like, it's there. I've been doing it for a year and a half.
So
I don't hide
fish keeper, like, taking off my fish keeper hat. I'm not talking about fish keeper. Just talking YouTuber to another YouTuber. Some that I've learned. Whether you care or not, it's up to you. I don't know. Okay. But if you see a channel, hold up. If you see a subject that is deficient in knowledge, instead of attacking it, you should do videos that show people, well, if you want to do a natural aquarium, this is what can go wrong, and this is what you can do to overcome that. Instead of just no, you saying it's trash outright. That's what you say. I mean, you got.
Yeah, I think the intent of using the word swamp water is to. I think the
he finds that offensive, I guess, because he lives close to a swamp. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to insult anyone's cultural sensitivities. I didn't mean to.
Hold on, wait. See, now,
I'm sorry.
What does my culture have to do with swamp? What does where I live have to do with swamp? There are people up north that do this.
Look, Funk, it's not that. He's not.
No. He
I
said
don't know why you're getting upset by me.
Hold up, wait. You cannot go on your channel and be all rah, and then when somebody comes back at you, get all like, why are you mad at me? See, that's the problem with you, man. That's the problem with people with but why are you crying when somebody gives you pushback? Why are you crying when somebody gives you pushback? If you are so serious about your views, then why are you just so upset?
I think you got upset that you didn't.
This is me. This is me.
I'm not upset. And now you're having a fit. Yeah, that's what you're doing. That's what you're doing.
Look, let's
no, bro.
You didn't know what you're talking about.
You might want to watch my channel. This is me every day. You don't know what you're talking about. Nobody in this chat knows what you're talking about because you're just coming up with shit like, what the hell are you talking about?
Take a break. Take a step. Hold on.
Nobody knows what you're talking about.
Fuck. Give me a second. All right. So
Go
let me understand. Look, man.
Really, bro.
I'm
we can
50,
do this,
and I know you're either my age or a little bit older.
What are you trying to do? Be all hard on fish tube? I mean, give me a break. You're like a child. You are a child to me. Calm down.
Dude.
Fix your hat.
Natty, man,
show your bald head. Be proud.
Oh, my forehead is freaking beautiful, baby boy. Look at that.
All right,
there you go.
Let me talk to you. Let me talk to you. Give me a second.
Why are you hiding?
Look, I understand how YouTube works too. And one of the things is also we're all on YouTube for different reasons. Some of us are on YouTube because we like to share what we're doing, and we're just trying to, find other people and do stuff like that. Now, I understand that if your goal is to try to grow your channel and get traffic to come to your channel, sometimes sensationalizing things or being not conflictive, but being a person that is willing to debate and stuff like that, I can see that could be a tactic too, which works because people like to watch that kind of stuff. There's a reason why we have this many people right now watching the chat, because they kind of like the drama and the conflict. It's entertaining. I get that. Now, if you're going to be that channel and people come at you, you can't get upset about that, because if you're putting that out,
I haven't been upset yet.
Okay.
I haven't been upset yet. I'm gonna have a good time.
Well, when you start trying to talk over people,
that's upset.
And you start making these gestures that are trying to incite a reaction, that to me is not something.
I haven't tried to incite anything. Okay, so now I came here to talk about filters. I've been cited. It just seems like a whole bunch of things I haven't done just keep getting suggested that I'm doing.
It's good for your channel.
And the whole whole time I keep coming back to I came to talk about the biology of fish tanks, and when I do that, it seems to upset somebody's ideology and their world falls apart, and then they start to crumble up there.
No.
I don't
See,
think you've upset
And
any of us.
you tell me that, you tell me that I'm losing it. You tell me that I'm losing it because I don't because I refuse to be stepped on.
All right, stop. And I am not saying that I am mad about your ideology. Now, see, here you go, man. What I'm saying is that there are a whole lot of ways to skin a cat, and for you to be like, you're wrong and you're wrong and you're wrong and I'm right. That's the part that trips me out. I think what you do is fine for your discus. I think what I do is fine. I think what Jose do is fine. There's a lot of different ways that a lot of different people relate to. They can't, you know what I'm saying? They could let them pick. You said Father Fish was wrong. You call him Jim Jones.
Who did I say was wrong?
Jim Jones.
I didn't name anybody, and I did.
Come on, man. Have a set of balls, bro.
If somebody wants to say you're going to put discus in a
set of balls,
bacteria, what's a set of balls about standing up for a guy that's going to put a discus in a cesspool of bacteria?
Say his name.
Okay.
Say his name. Stop being so stubborn.
No, because that's what I came here to do. When we started this conversation, Mr. Mexicali set rules about not calling names. I believe even Jose talked about we're not going to be calling names, and then you don't like what you're hearing, and so now you want me to call names. Now you want me to call names. I told you when I came here, I'm not going to call names. I'm a man of my principles. Okay.
But you get to talk crap about people.
I don't want to talk about an old man.
But hold on, wait.
Am I afraid of him or something? Like, get over
so you can talk crap about people,
buddy.
And everybody know who he is, but because you don't say his name, that's plausible deniability. Come on, man. I didn't say his name, so I wasn't talking about him.
Look, so it's like Captain put words in your mouth.
Here's the thing.
That's where we're at. You're going to tell me I'm doing this. You're going to tell me I'm doing that. You're going to say I came here to talk about this when I came here to talk about that. You're going to interrupt me.
Nobody knows what you're talking about.
You don't know the difference. You don't know the difference between an ocean and a fish tank, a hole in the ground, or a glass box.
Oh my God! Nobody knows what you're talking about. Put a thumbs up in the chat if you understand what he's talking about.
Okay, you can't follow. You're sitting here trying to be the big man. You got your hat back on. You feeling insecure again, bud? Are you feeling insecure again, bud?
Yes,
I am. The hat off.
Stop bald head shaming, man. You're going to get canceled. I'm going to tell him, like, you made fun of my bald head.
Look, how can I bald head shame? How can I do that? If you're a
got an ugly head, and you're jealous of me. You're jealous of me because my head look better than you. If you want to be childish, I'll be childish too.
I don't know.
Your bald head looks stupid. Looks like an egg.
All right, I'm going to put you guys in timeout again because this is getting out of hand. Look, I think this is merits to still be able to have a discussion. I'm still trying to figure out. I know. It's
all right. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
No, go ahead, Jose. I know you've been trying to say something for the last minute.
No, it's okay. Listen, they've been fighting. I just made a comment that we should get a pair of boxing gloves. This is definitely not what I was planning for this live. There were three comments made by Father Fish or his people, whoever's writing for him. One of them he says is, actually, I want to just repeat a couple of comments. My idea of this chat was that there are extremes that we should not go to, right? Extremes, meaning there's the Walsall method, which I'm not a follower for, and there's the totally no filtration, no aeration, no nothing for the tank, just topping off. Topping off is not a water change. Whatever's in the water is going to stay there. You take salt, you mix it. Unless you remove water, you're not removing that percentage of the salt or whatever solutes are in the water. We don't know what's in the water. We don't test for that, right? So some of these things, if the EPA says that a certain amount of TDS in the water, whatever those things are, is not good for us. They say a max of 300. Scotty did a video where he decided to test his TDS and it was like over 600. If below 300 or above 300 is not good for people, how can it be good for fish that absorb stuff through gills, through skin? I have had the clearest water. Clean water doesn't mean always healthy. You could have the highest ammonia level, which is what's going to kill your fish quicker. Clean water doesn't always mean that. And I think, God, somebody said, just forgot for the moment, I'm not going to look back, that although the water is not apparent in his outside pond, dirty pond, water is moving, whether it goes down to the ground, it gets refilled by rain, it gets apart. There is a movement, there is a change of water. Topping off does not mean water change. And I am talking about extremes. There's extreme of people who says you have to change water 4 times a day. There are people who says you never change water. Or if you don't do water change in 6 months because your tank doesn't require it, that's fine. It's whatever fits your tank. I was not hoping for this chat to go this way. Now, one of the comments that Father Fish or his people made is that the swamp water are one of the most pristine waters, and that you have very delicate fish in there. It is true. It is a very dynamic system. Water moves in and out. There are changes. All this washout from rain goes into the swamp, and water, it moves down into the seas and into the rivers. There's a change of water that's happening naturally, even though it doesn't look like it. Now, I think, Sean, you're using it as an exaggeration, calling it swamp water. Swamp water doesn't mean dirty water, but I think the whole thing about that I wanted to get across is that the extreme, that you cannot say that not doing water changes is a good thing because it's natural. As I said before, there's nothing natural about a closed system, which is what I think Stephen P. says. We're talking about a closed system, which is a fish tank, or an open system, which is a lake or a outside pond, whatever. There is movement of water, although we don't see it. In a fish tank, there is no movement, especially if you don't have any type of filtration. The sand, the dirt will. Did we lose Mexicali? Anyway, I think we're still on, but I don't know if yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, okay. So we don't know. We cannot say that this is called natural. There are bacteria. There are parasites and everything in the natural world that affect fish, and they die. They are predators that kill the fish. We try to do the best we can for our fish. However, it suits us and it suits our individual tanks. And I think that's what I was trying to get across. Not for this to turn into a hockey match or a boxing match, but obviously we have tempers and we have differences of opinion. But we can talk like adults and have a conversation, not a fight. This is what I was hoping for. But anyway, because we can have these chats bring a lot of ideas and a lot of things where we all learn from each other. And certainly fighting is not, when you're fighting, when you're arguing, nobody listens to shit. I'm sorry. Nobody listens because your tempers are up here and you block everything out. I have family members like that. We all do. And what I personally do is when people are arguing or you're gonna get your point across and only your way is the only way that matters. Jose holds back and I don't talk shit for days sometimes. Are you done? Are you willing? Are you now down here where you want to listen? Because when tempers are up, nobody listens to ideas. And a conversation, which I was hoping to have, it's not so much whether it changes, how much water change you need, but the extreme of no water changes is natural. It cannot be natural because it's a closed system and you're going to have shit in there that we don't measure for that eventually will kill your fish. And I think that was the point that I was trying to get across. I was hoping to get across. I was trying to get a little bit of biology here because sometimes if you explain something to people, maybe it makes sense. And there is one of the things that I wanted to get out of YouTube is to help people understand. And like there's one kid, I'm saying the kid, he's 24. He's a civil engineer in the Dominican Republic. He made a comment on his one of the videos that I made. He said he was follower. He was following for 2 months because he's trying to get into this. And he was asking very educated question. His name is I wrote it down. I didn't want to forget. His name is Elian. He's a civil engineer, as I said. He was asking he's right on point. He's been for 8 years. He's been doing keeping a tank. He's send me pictures, and he's right on point on everything. He's very careful. So he was asking me, what do I quarantine? And he was asking me a very valid question, which is what I like. I can help you. I gave him my phone number. We've been chatting back and forth, our voice messaging. And that's the thing is that we got to learn from each other. We have to get the correct word out there. He asked me a question about, shrimp, I said, I cannot give you an opinion about shrimp because I don't know anything about them. I cannot give you an opinion. There are other good channels. I suggested some. And there are people like Stefan who keep great planted tanks. My plants do great. My discs do great, but I've lost fish on perfectly good looking clear water, not swamp water. I'm not disagreeing with you, Sean, and I know what you're trying to get across, but I think what we're trying to get across is the extreme. Father Fish made a comment, which I'd never mentioned name when I did that reaction to Patty's live with Corey, and I was not mentioning anything because Corey said it and he has to be right. No, you could have 100,000 followers. Just because you say something, do I have to believe it that is correct? You know, this is the opinion of somebody who has 1 million followers. I could have 10 followers. I've been asking questions of somebody who is just has 10, 18 followers. I subscribe to them and I say, listen, I really like your tank. What are you doing for that plant? What kind of substrate do you use? What kind of filtration are you using? Because for that person that has 18 followers, they just opened up a YouTube like I did a year ago. It doesn't mean that they don't know shit because they're new to YouTube. They're new to YouTube, but not a new fish keeper. And I think that's, you know, that's the idea, is that extremes in anything are never good. Funk, I told Omira on chat that she should have some duct tape for you.
No, it hasn't. 49 years. Nothing has worked. They tried.
I know. Poor woman. I feel sorry for her.
Jose, so listen, man, I've commented back on some of your comments that were just like you have them right now, that were just thought out and expressed through your personal experience and all that. And there's a way you go about things that make me think, that's what really gets people to change their minds. So I appreciate you. And at any time you want to comment on my stuff, as long as you bring it positive. Now, if you bring a comment to one of my videos and you want to be negative, well, everybody already knows I love those too. I go right back at them. So, but if you're trying to make change, the best way to do it is the way Jose's doing it. Telling people, you know, just saying that whatever they're doing is wrong outright never really works. It never really works. Negativity is never really works. So if people want a specific, and that's always been my thing, there's always a way to get something done that you're trying to do. And if you're a good enough fish keeper, you could figure out a way to do it. So if these people want to have the natural aquariums, there's a way to do it. It may not be the way that you want it done or whatever, but there's always a way to do it. You know what I'm saying? Some variation. So instead of being closed-minded and saying, no, say, okay, and here's the thing, I'm not a planted guy. I'm not a deep dirt substrate guy. I do have one tank, but this is not my preferred tank. But I do appreciate the fact that people do different things different ways, and it works for different people better or worse. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I think where the fallout is that I think it's we can agree that extremes are bad. I mean, that's 100%. I think every single one of us could agree that is correct. An extreme situation is not going to be good, and it doesn't matter what system you have. If you go to the extreme, it's going to fail at one point or another. I think where some of the pushback that Sean is getting is, or at least the way that I feel that it's coming at, is extreme cases are rare. They're not that common. It's not an occurrence that is happening everywhere in the hobby, because that's what it sounds like that you're trying to say. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So I haven't accused anybody of anything.
Okay.
I've only discussed methods that I feel are doing harm, and how they're doing harm, why they're doing harm, and what they're doing harm to. And then I'm pointing at the source of the harm. And then people who don't like what I have to say are getting upset, not just here in this chat, but probably all over the place, because apparently everybody's getting upset and I'm attacking people. I'm not attacking people. I'm trying to tell you that your fish might die if you don't consider this, and this variable. And they're variables that you should consider.
Agreed.
botany and biology is not fish keeping. And when you go too deep into and I say wallstead or swamp or whatever, because, and I am, when I describe things, talking about the extreme side of that, which you're right. Not everybody does. Few people probably do it. But I bring up the extreme because it's the extreme that's going to bring on the problems I'm talking about.
Yeah, but is the extreme the norm?
Well, it doesn't matter if it's the norm. And I didn't
what I'm
say
saying
it was.
is it
I didn't even imply it was
issue?
the norm.
Okay, there's far less cases of that than there is of not being that extreme, correct?
What I'm getting is cases of people coming up to me saying, I'm following this method or that method or this method. Okay. And
could it be they're not doing it right?
Like I said, well, it could be they're not doing it right. But
okay.
When I look at the pictures and I listen to the stories and I see how smart the individual is, how hard they're trying, and how badly they want their fish to live, but they're failing anyway, and they're doing everything right according to the book. Well, tell me the book. They tell me what they're doing, and I'm like, look, I think this is what's going on. And I'm trying to point out the thing that I keep seeing over and over again, not just in discussions I have, but in videos I'm watching with my own two eyes on YouTube all over the place, because like you said, FishTube is vast, and it's not just us. Like Aquafunk said, FishTube is freaking vast. It's global, and a lot of people like fish. There's hundreds of millions of people that like fish, and there's probably millions and millions of channels, and none of us have come close to even seeing all of them once, and we probably can't in our lifetimes. But I look around, and I look around in different in India. You should see India and the fish trade. If you want to see something interesting, go watch what those people do to keep fish clean. You know what I'm saying? I do that, and I hit the translate button when they're available, and some of them speak kind of half English, and you can keep up with them, and I look around, you know. So I'm not closed-minded, I'm not narrow-minded, I'm not all these things that people have been trying to frame me into throughout the course of this interview. I'm just a guy that's trying to say, consider the fact that if you throw a high bioload in your water column, you're increasing your risk load too. You truly are, needlessly, in my opinion. But if you'd like to do that, that's fine. Now, if you're a biology student or you're a botanist and you like plants, then that's going to be your cup of tea. And I wish the best of you. I'm not telling you to run a certain kind of tank. I'm asking you to not throw fish in them that are going to suffer for. Please just make sure you don't do that. You know,
there's a couple of points I want to come back to that. But Jose wanted to say something. What is it, Jose, that you wanted to point out right now? Because
I think this is working one person at a time. We can listen to each other, right? That's the whole thing. Now, let me tell you what prompted my reaction video to the Corey and Patty's message. Now, in my opinion, my opinion, not everybody has mine. Patty was talking extreme. That's how I responded to it. Why extreme? Because even when Corey, again, I'm not saying that because Corey is the old man in YouTube and everything he says is gospel. Listen, I'm not a religious person. I did have an uncle who was an archbishop of the Catholic Church, but I'm not a religious person. You know, occasionally I go to church. But anyway, the point is that all the extremes are bad. And just because Corey is who he is, and we all have seen his videos, we all respect him for a different number of things. Just because he said it, it's not because now it's gospel. It's not. Okay, now, what I was talking to, because what he objected to is like when Patty said, I don't have air in there. I don't have oxygen. I never do water changes. I use this Wallstead method. I don't know shit about Wallstead method because I never read about it. Again, that's not something that piques my interest. Okay. Now, is it right? Is it wrong? No, I cannot say that it is. I don't hate anybody for it. As I say, you do whatever works for you. But my point about this whole situation was that when he says no air movement, because the fish look fine, they're not gasping for air. Listen, from a medical point, I can tell you a lot of stories. I can tell you many, right? But the point about this is that just because somebody apparently looks fine, before you know it, 2 minutes later, that person is dead. They look fine a minute ago, and I saw that 3 days ago. Oh, listen, he was just talking to me. Then the next time, that person arrested. There was a lot of underground going on that person didn't know. I knew it because I was taking care of that person. Right? Now, when Patty said that there's no air movement, no anything, then Corey said, wait a minute, no air movement? That's if you're trying to save money, then why do you have 40, 50, 80 tanks if you find it that it's a lot of work? Have enough, bite as much as you can chew, as they say, right? But the point is that if you're going to have that many tanks and you're trying to save money on air, which you said is the cheapest thing on your hobby. We know the hobby is expensive. We know that, right? But then if air is the one thing that you want to skimp on when you know it's important, if you have a high TDS or high dissolved anything that's in there, solubility of gases in liquids, diffusion, osmosis, word that we heard. I didn't get into that because it may have been a little bit long or boring for some people. That's what I was hoping to get across, because if you mention some things and then you said, like when Corey said what he said, Patty said, oh shit, I did not think of that. It makes sense. I'm going to start adding air because air provides a flow in the water. Just the air bubbles is going to create flow in there. It's going to bring that water at the top down to the bottom where filtration is happening in this case, right? So that's what I was hoping to do in this chat, was to bring some light to some of the chemistry, some of the basic biology without being complicated. I know everybody doesn't do what I do, right? I can see a whole point of view, because living tissue of fish is as much as a human is. And I was trying to make a parallel that you can see. If humans go through this, go ahead, Funk. You got the floor. And
check it out, Joy. I totally get where you're coming from. Hold up, wait, because I'm a very analytic person too, and I am a big fan of oxygen. I love oxygen in my aquariums. I love the water flow it provides. It shakes up the surface, creating more oxygen. I do. And I'm not trying to tell you, but in your particular case, I would also have the same questions you do. I just don't care enough to look. But if you go to like Father Fish's Discord, there's a lot of people who've been doing this for a long time that probably has the answers to how do fish get the proper oxygenation when there is no oxygen. Obviously, it's happening. It's happening because it's been happening for over 25 years. It's happening, whether we understand it or not. Okay, but what I'm saying is, so
fish keeping 2,000-year-old hobby.
That's what I'm saying. So hold up, man. I'm talking. You get mad when people cut you off. So my point is if you have questions about that where you don't think it's like, I don't get this, I don't understand it, so it must not work. Well, it is working. It's working for people. It is. So I would actually hit up Father Fish and ask him. I could give you his phone number and he could tell you how it works. You know what I mean?
Well, he's here. Do you want to bring him up and ask him those questions?
I don't have questions.
Well, no, apparently Jose does.
You think I was bad? Y'all thought I was bad? I love Father Fish to death,
or
bro.
maybe look, here's my thinking. Maybe there's a way that he can explain how that process works. Man, you guys are so fucking immature. I can't believe I'm dealing with fucking teenagers. Fucking serious, man.
Go ahead.
You guys are the epitome of fucking immaturity. It's just this whole fucking gesturing and trying to outdo each other is fucking pathetic from grown men, fucking adults, fucking gray-haired adults. Can't believe that shit. And that I got to call you on that fucking behavior. You guys are fucking pathetic.
What hair, George?
Yeah. We're all baldy.
It's just we're trying to have a discussion. And
that was the plan.
You guys are obviously, and that's fine. We don't all have to like each other. And I know both of you guys get under each other's skin. I don't have a problem with you, Sean, and I don't have a problem with Sean. Well, okay.
I don't have a problem with anyone. Someone has a problem with me. When people have a problem with me, then I have a problem.
Okay. But there's also a way to address that and don't have to be stooped down to that level. That's all I'm trying to say.
No, but I'm not stooping. I'm just not being stepped on by a
okay,
child.
and I get that. And I get that. And
child.
That's all
Who's calling a child?
Dude, how old are you?
I'm 23.
Okay.
Today's my birthday, by the way.
My children children are much older than you. Okay. So to me, you, sir, are still a child. I've
Only
changed
to people I
diapers
don't
that
care
are older
about.
than you.
Only to people I don't care about.
Look,
Well, I don't get that.
I
what
can't.
people
It,
you
it
don't
bothers
like.
me that even though we have differences of opinions, that we can have a civil conversation, and not being the bigger person and reacting to the other person. I could easily be reacting to everybody here and trying to be obnoxious, and I'm not doing that because I really want to listen to what you guys are trying to say. Yes, Sean.
Okay, good. I'm sorry I reacted to him, but at the same time, if I had just said nothing, what would have happened here is I would have got stepped on every time I tried to open my mouth. I still really didn't get my point across because every time I get close to it, I get walked over. And, I'm being antagonized because he doesn't like my point of view. There's nothing wrong with my point of view. It's just, I guess, somehow insulting him.
No, there's
And
not.
making him
It's not
feel
that.
insecure.
I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I was trying to understand it, but to get clarity
I mean,
on what the point of view.
I was trying to communicate it clearly. I wasn't trying to hurt anybody's feelings. I really wasn't. I didn't come here to do that. I didn't come here to fight. I didn't here to
You're
call
not hurting
names.
my feelings.
I came here to talk about a concept that I disagreed with, and not the people that use the concept. Because that's what I said I was going to do before I joined here. I mean, Jose will agree. I said that's the way we're going to frame this, and we're just going to talk about the issues, right, and not make it personal. And in about 45 seconds after I started talking, Buddy got personal. Period. And I'm an old man.
You might want to watch this again, man.
I'm an old man. I'm going to watch it again. I'll even break it down for you, bud, okay? Because I know what I've done. I know what you've done. And, I may have responded to it, but I'm a kind of guy, okay? There's no child in my or anywhere in my neighborhood or anywhere around me that would ever speak to me the way this little young man did, okay? He thought he'd come in here and be Father Hero's super child, okay? And tell me how things are going to be. And then he found out that he didn't know the difference between the ocean.
You got no, Mexicali. I can't say nothing, Mexicali. I can't say nothing.
Here we go.
Yeah, you can.
Here we go. I'm speaking. He doesn't like
You
what I'm
got
saying.
mad. You got mad because somebody pressed you.
I didn't get mad.
You got mad because somebody pressed you, and you got all rah, and had none to back it up.
All right.
None to back it up.
Look,
let me go back to.
Look, first, take the hat off so you can lose the attitude.
I'm a little boy, but you're talking about
25 years old. Take the hat off.
I like 23, man. 23.
23. Well, I'm trying to give you some years, my friend. I'm trying my best here.
All right. Look, let's go back to the initial question where you were commenting on the fact that you get a lot of comments from people that are doing a certain style of fish keeping and that they're having problems with it.
People that are having problems.
And I agree with that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
My question would be, how much experience do those people really have to really understand what is going on in the aquarium? Because I'll tell you what, when I first started, I didn't know about a nitrogen cycle. I didn't know about, about parasites. I didn't know about funguses. It took me a few years under my belt and doing research to learn about these things, to learn when a tank is seasoned and has become established and those type of things. Could it be that a lot of the people that are coming to you is because they're relatively new in the hobby and they're experiencing beginner problems, not so much because of the system, but because it's the initial state of starting an aquarium, regardless of whether it's planted or whether it's bottomless, bare bottom or anything like that. It could just be problems that associated with a non-established or cycled aquarium.
Agreed. In many cases, it's very well that. And in other cases, it's, well, if they're asking questions, they're still learning. So that's the answer. The answer is yes. Okay. The answer is yes. Otherwise, they wouldn't be asking questions. They're asking questions because they're puzzled and they asked questions somewhere else and they didn't find what was helping them in their particular case. And they're looking for alternatives. And I offer alternatives. And I'm trying to offer alternatives. I'm trying to point out and say, hey, look, if you're noticing this, okay. And that's where my message lies.
Okay. Well, that's valid. I get that. To me, what it sounded like is that there's, and I get these questions too for a lot from people that are just starting up, and I really don't think the method whether that they're using is really the core of the issue.
Am I back?
Yeah, you're back. Well, oh, I'm sorry, Sean. Were you
Okay.
done with your comment or not?
No, but
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
You can go ahead.
I want you to go ahead and finish your thought.
I think I lost my thought anyway, so when it comes back, I'll put my hand up. I'm trying to do the hand thing at school.
Okay.
I think it's going to work out. You know,
I think a lot of the, and I'm almost willing to say that most of us that have a presence on YouTube are going to attract a lot of beginner people that are trying to get information. And a lot of the issues that they're going to be bringing up is not so much necessarily based on the style of aquarium they're keeping. It's going to be more of, it's almost either it's going to be an uncycled aquarium, or it's going to be some type of a parasite or bacterial infection. I think those are really going to be the issues at core that are going to be brought up. But I really don't think that it matters where they keep it, because you could keep it in a tote with nothing in it and still have some of the same issues if that aquarium is not cycled.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, so we can agree on that.
Yes,
100%. And that's fine.
I wasn't trying to say otherwise.
And so if somebody comes to me and says, okay, I'm keeping a system where I'm running 3 FXs on a 10-gallon tank and I'm still having issues, I'm not going to shit on them because it's the filter system that they're using. It might be another issue where that's just not cycled. You know, you could have 100 filters in that aquarium, but if they haven't reached the cycle point, it's pointless. It's just pure. You're just filtering water particulates. That's all you're doing. You know, so I guess and this is where I'm trying to say, if your idea of saying is because you're keeping a dirted planet aquarium is the cause of a lot of your problems, is not necessarily fair, because you don't know if that aquarium has been cycled or not. Because I keep a lot of planet aquariums and I don't have those issues, but I have the experience to know when my aquarium is already cycled or not. And if it's not cycled, I can pick up on the cues that let me know that aquarium is not cycled and address it. Yes, go ahead, Sean.
Okay, so right off what you're saying there, and I don't doubt that your tanks are in check, okay? And I don't think that they won't remain in check, right? But the way that the closer you get to a Wallstead tank, in my opinion, you've got a whole bunch of these natural variables that you got to keep alive that are supporting your cycle. And it's just a lot more complicated, in my opinion, than it needs to be. And it's complicated, but it's being sold as an easy bill of goods. And I don't feel it's even easy, because you got to go through a lot to look after those plants. You got to, do your CO2 thing. You got to manage your lights at night versus the day, and make sure things don't drown or suffocate in that regard. And you got to not upset your substrate in ways that, are going to release gases. There's a whole lot of variables that come along with that could lead to death, or lead to a bacterial bloom that will cause death, or a bacteria or minor leeches that will cause slow-term, long-running illness that slowly brings down a fish. It is an environment that's conducive to illness, but that's just my opinion.
But it would be an environment that's conducive to illnesses if not kept properly, don't you think?
True. I 100% agree with you. And they were asking those, but how do I get out of this problem? Well, you're not handling it right. Here's an alternative.
Okay. Yeah,
right?
but I mean, I guess the point is, I would do that, but I wouldn't shit on somebody's idea of keeping a tank. And it sounds, and I know you're not probably doing that, but that's the way it comes off.
That's not what I said, and that's not what I did either. Sorry to cut you off.
No, what I'm trying to get you to see why maybe some people are reacting the way they are to what you're saying is because it's coming off as you saying that because you're doing this system, it automatically going to create problems.
If you put a sensitive fish, I'm not even gonna, there's several sensitive fish out there,
okay,
in that kind of environment, okay, and you're saying to people who are learning, because that's who's watching us on YouTube, okay? More experienced people watching anybody. I don't care how good you are as a YouTuber, or if you're top tier YouTuber or bottom tier YouTuber. Okay, the people that are watching you are typically new, and they're looking for knowledge, right? They're looking for a way, okay? And but anyway, you just you don't tell them to put an ornamental fish that's supposed to be in a river in an environment that is clearly not for river fish. And if you do that,
we all break that.
You're introducing that new person to failure. You truly are. That's my opinion. That's the way I feel about it, and that's what I was talking about. I don't think like guppies. I didn't complain about guppies. Put them there all day. Rice fish. Heck, right on. There's all kinds of fish. Go for it. All those little nano fish all day long. Have fun. But don't tell people to put a beautiful discus in that, because I'll tell you right now. Oh man. Yeah.
Look, John, but here's the thing though. I don't think any of us have river tanks and we keep river fish in them.
What?
None of us have river setups in our aquariums, but yet we keep those type of fish in our aquariums.
A lot of us have more than adequate flow and simulate rivers.
So your issue is with flow.
I think people simulate rivers better than they simulate swamps in a fish tank. That's
okay, but what's the core of the issue then is the lack of water flow? Is that what it is?
No, there's no core of the issue. The core of the issue is don't put the wrong fish in the wrong tank.
Well, we all keep the wrong fish in the wrong tank.
Let me give you an analogy. Okay. You know how people use car analogies, right? Mm-hmm. So you don't put a saltwater fish in a freshwater tank and then sit there and watch it. Yeah. You don't do that.
Okay.
You don't take a river fish and put it in the swamp. You just don't do that. It's the same thing. It's really the same thing. And if you do that, you can do it when it comes to river and swamp because they're both freshwater. Okay. But the suffering will be no different than taking the saltwater fish and putting it in the freshwater. It's just as wrong in my view. And that's all that's where I'm saying, please don't do it.
Okay. Yes.
I think that's very logical.
Can I try? Well, okay. So not putting a river fish in a swamp.
Correct.
Okay. So what about Oscar? What about Oscars living in these lakes out here in Florida?
Someone put them there. They didn't.
But they've been here. There. No. But they've been here for years, generations and generations, and they didn't come from. They didn't come from lakes.
I mean, show me pictures of these. Are they closed environments? Like
yes, it's a lake, man. Yeah, it's a closed. It's closed in. Even the green swamp. By the way, I live by the green swamp. There's Oscars in the green swamp.
Mm-hmm. But we talked about how the water moves through the ground, right?
Okay.
Oh my God, bro! Look, let me tell you something. Right over your head. Where are you getting your information from, bro? Like you are very closed-minded. You are very closed-minded, man. You see, I get. Hold on. See, and he's talking about people just stepping on people, right? I get my information from my experiences. Just because you have see,
and then you complain that
stop stepping on me. Just because you haven't experienced everything, it doesn't exist. I try different things. I go, that's interesting. Let me see if I could do that. Oh, I like it or I don't like it. You're very closed-minded to other people's experiences.
I never thought I'd meet a 23-year-old Socrates. Or sorry, a 23-year-old.
You still haven't. You still haven't.
Sean, I think
right.
if we use that analogy where you're talking about these large bodies of waters having natural water movements, in that case, none of us that keep aquariums are replicating any of that water movement. Not one single one of us. Not any of us at all have anything that resembles what's out in nature.
I can point at people that are pretty close.
Your aquarium behind you, does that resemble a flowing river
Amazon
water system?
Would you like me to describe it for you?
Sure.
I'll take the time.
Okay.
I'll take the time. I didn't say it was the Amazon.
So
But
No,
we're near
I'm
the
not saying
it's a
that.
river fish. It is a river fish. Now let me describe my thing. And I wish I could pick this camera up, but it's on a cord. And I go around the other side and show you. Okay. But on the other side of the room, there's a bunch of 4-foot tanks on shelves and whatnot. And in between them, there's a couple big 60-gallon rain barrels. Okay.
Okay.
And then there's a whole bunch of pipes that link between all of those tanks and rain barrels. Then they come around the corner here and they enter this tank. And then they get pushed through this tank at great force, about 460 gallons an hour. Okay. And then they come back and they come in through this water flow. And then they exit this tank and they go back into those barrels at that 460 gallon per hour rate. Then from the barrels, they get pumped through all the other tanks into a big circle. It's like an electric circuit. And then all that water is going through filters that are installed in each one of those tanks along the way. The two 60-gallon barrels are set up full of biomedia. They've got they're literally full of pot scrubbies and everything that I could fit in there. That's biomedia, the bags and the works. But they still got 60 gallons of water because the pot scrubbies don't take up much volume and the water still flows through them. And then it goes in the big circle, comes back to the Oscar tank again. So the Oscars here enjoy a little more than 450 gallons of water flowing continuously at 460 gallons per hour through the system. I'm not sure how fast the average river flows, but I'm going to ask the AI because I'm curious.
I was going to say, because I doubt that you're moving the same amount of water that the Amazon River is moving.
I'm like at the flow rate, right? Like I'm not, and if there's a hill, of course, it's going to be a waterfall, and I'm not going to touch that, right? But
yeah,
maybe if the ground's level.
So it's valid to say that we don't keep, no matter what we do with filtration, anything that remotely resembles a natural waterway. Is that fair?
No. I agree with that, and because we don't, it's our responsibility to provide even better than Mother Nature can.
Okay.
Because we're never going to be able to give them Mother Nature. So we might as well give them the best. Okay. We may as well give them the best. And I don't think the best is swimming in biological soup that in my opinion.
But that's where I'm trying to understand.
Can get very close to septic tank conditions. And I'm saying that because
you got some crappy lakes where you live.
I'm speaking. And I know
nobody cares.
Yeah, you don't care. You can walk away. I know that you guys are really good fish keepers. I've seen your tanks and they look great, right? Because you look after them. But the average Joe, that's why we have stocking levels. We have stocking levels, and they say only put 6 fish in said tank, because the average person out there is not going to care for their tanks the way I just described and the way that you do with your racks behind you. I've seen your racks, Bexy. They're freaking brutal. You put time into your room, okay? You put a lot of care. The average Joe isn't going to do that. The way we do things is fanatical in comparison to the average fish keeper.
I would hate to burst the bubble because I don't do the maintenance that you think that I'm doing in my aquariums.
Look at your room, though. I mean, you really built it up.
Yeah, I built it up, but you see, that's the thing, though. I feel like you make the assumption that because they're planet tanks, that they're full, that you're calling them septic tanks, but
no.
Just because somebody keeps a planet tank doesn't necessarily mean that we're not doing certain things to prevent that from happening. That's the impression that I'm getting from the comments that you're making, and I might be totally off point and not understanding it. That's why I want to get to what it is that you're trying to tell me.
Well, I keep repeating it about biology, and my point is that a tank that's set up closer to the Wallstead method than yours are, okay, because that's where I'm not picking on everybody, and I'm not picking on anybody, and I'm not even picking on the method. I'm trying to point out that there's an ugly side to the method on that side of things. Okay, there's an ugly side that can kill your fish, and you should be aware of it. And no one's talking about that ugly side, and it's there. And there's a whole bunch more variables in a setup like that makes that time bomb capable of going off. And people are not being told about it. And I'm just trying to tell people about it. That's all I've been doing. And because I'm bringing that up, people are getting very offended Because
I don't
just
think
talk
it's
about
because
the
you're
positive
bringing it
side.
up. I don't think
You're
it's
talking
because
about
you're
the
bringing.
negative side, you know. Only talk about the positive side.
No,
And I don't think
I'm
we
a
should do
proponent
that.
of talking about stuff that's wrong too. Believe me. But the thing is, it might be in the way you're delivering the message that in the back of your mind, you know, it's gonna trigger a response. Because I could take the same message that you're
I want
doing.
people to think. What I'm trying to do is trigger people to think.
Okay, one thing is to make people think, and the other one is to try to make people upset. There's two different things. They're not the same.
You know what? Sometimes my opinion is going to upset you. Sometimes your opinion is going to upset me, or it might upset the guy down the street because the world's got like what is it? We're up to 17 billion people in it, and we can't please everyone. We're never going to please everyone. I can show you a list of people that are probably cheering me on right now, and then I'll show you another list of people that are cheering Aquafunk on right now. Okay, it's going to be like that. Well, yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I'm sure they're in the chat. I'm sure they're in the chat. How long you been here, bud? You've been sitting around 23 years, and you spent like 7 years on the internet. Bravo, bravo, bravo. We'll talk about what I've done with my life one time.
If education is what you're trying to accomplish, that's fine. I get that. I think that's the whole reason why we are even here to begin with, is because we're trying to educate the people that watch our content. Every single one of us. Yes. And the last thing that any one of us wants to do is send people down the wrong pathway.
True.
I don't think any of us are sitting up here intentionally trying to make people have problems with their aquariums.
No.
Now, no. I would agree that there's
for an alternative. Sorry, I thought you were done.
Yeah, I would agree that there's more than one way to accomplish what we're trying to do, and it might not always coincide with our philosophy of keeping fish.
I know that's going to be the case every time. Every time. That's just a given. That's a given. Like that's a statistical given, and I accept that going in. I know that if I'm going to have an opinion on something, there's going to be a section of people that aren't going to like my opinion. That's just being human. That's the consequence of being a human being. Yeah. I don't walk through the world trying to please everybody. I don't think it's even worth my time.
I don't think anybody does. I don't think anybody
all
does.
I wanted, my channel is I was looking through the fog of FishTube a year and a half ago, and I said, oh my God, this is confusing. Okay. And all I want to do is learn how to grow and breed one particular kind of fish that I never had the chance to own. I owned everything else, but I didn't get to have these guys. And I couldn't really get any clear information. I found a few channels, and I'm thankful for them. The people that put up good, clear, solid, concise information. And I've thanked all those people along the way. I really have. And but there's a lot of fog out there because we live in a new world. Like me and you, Mexi, and Jose. We know we live in it's not a new world. He grew up in this world, so it's not new for him. But like that's I guess it's funny that it's not new for you. That's cool, but it's new for us. Okay, like there's a whole bunch of shit.
You old guys.
Yeah, well, you'll be here one day. You'll be here one day, and you know what?
I refuse.
No? You refuse? You got a ticket to Mars? I hope so. I mean, I'd love a ticket to Mars. I'd love a ticket. Elon, hook me up.
Here's
please.
what I'm trying to figure out is because is the problem that you're finding is because that people keep coming to you, and the reason why you're calling this swamp water, septic water, whatever is it because of the style that they're keeping it in, or could it just be that they're not doing the maintenance they're supposed to be doing on that aquarium?
Maybe I just want them to think about what's in their water.
Okay, that's fair.
Right?
Yeah. And could it be possible that
it's a word, and I'm sorry if a swamp and septic sound exciting or upsetting.
No, I'm just trying to get an understanding as
We live in this
to.
world where everybody gets like really sensitive.
Look, I'm
I don't
a
understand
fucking
it sometimes.
Generation Xer. You're not going to offend me.
Yeah,
I'm not going to get
same here.
offended.
No, I think it's good. Yeah.
So, but I'm trying to understand where you're coming from, because if I
And I'm
understand
trying
where
to-
you're coming from, then me and you are going to be able to understand each other.
Yeah. I think
And I think that's important.
And I think we can. And now that this, we're sorry.
So
There's a little lag.
So my question is, could you and I come to the same path if we just do what we're supposed to be do with our systems? If could we have the same results, or is it impossible for me to have the same results that you have?
I think that I would call you an advanced fish keeper, and I think that you can maintain your systems. And I don't think I need to advise you on anything. Okay.
Okay.
And anyone who's like you, I don't think I need to tell them anything. I don't
Okay.
think I need to tell them anything. But what I did do with my channel is make a resource, okay, where I show myself from the noob, from day one with my little fish, and I don't know what I'm doing, right? That's my channel. And then the next day I show you how noobish I am still. And then 2 years later, holy shit, I figured things out. And you get to watch every friggin' day of my progression, okay? And I had all the problems they're gonna have, right? And then I got there. So that's why people ask me questions, because they saw me, oh fuck, whatever. He had this, I have that too. How did you get past that? That's my channel. Okay. And I put it there so people can use it as a learning tool. And if you want my opinion, I'll say, well, this is what everyone else is going to tell you around YouTube right now, because that's the trend. And this is what I don't think is going to help you with that trend. That trend's going to lead to this, because you're not an experienced keeper like Mexicali, and you are not going to know how to keep the bacteria out of your water. And then you're going to see the cloudy eyes and the red gills and the brown blood disease.
So would you agree with me that it's a lack of experience then, and not necessarily a setup that is the problem?
Yes, I agree that it's a lack of experience, and people who know better should understand that they have a lack of experience and not lead them down a complicated road that they're not ready for yet. And then tell them on top of that to use fish that'll make it even worse for them. Like it's just, in my opinion, it's gone a little far in that regard, in that sort of direction. Okay. And people, like, you're not thinking about the new guys. And then you're also like, what's that new guy going to do to that fish? Right.
Well, but here's the thing though. Here's the reality that you're ignoring, is that a lot of people, especially new hobbyists, will want to buy fish that are way out of the league. How many times have you seen a new person coming into the hobby buying a red tail catfish, and keeping it in a 20-gallon aquarium? And I'm sitting here going, what are you doing, bro? Because that thing's going to outgrow that aquarium in a heartbeat.
Sorry.
No, go ahead. I'm done.
All but 2 Oscars in this tank are that situation. And I took them from people who couldn't handle them.
Okay.
So that's so yeah, we've all seen that. Yeah, I agree 100%. It's there.
So it's not necessarily the setup that they're doing that they're keeping. I don't think the setup that you decide to start with is the issue.
No.
I think the issue is not understanding what is happening. I think at the core of all this is an uncycled aquarium. That's what's going to generate an immense amount of problems. Yes, Jose, go ahead.
No, I said I was commenting in the chat. I'm getting more in than in the conversation here. But you know what? Let me tell you something, guys. We're almost 2 hours into this. We can go in circles arguing about the same thing. My point was that they're extreme on both sides. We have to meet in the middle, tell newcomers into the hobby, as I said, as YouTubers, small or big, we have a responsibility to teach the correct thing. Now, when you teach people my way or the highway, or when you teach extremes, I said, listen, I cannot tell you about this because I don't have the experience, as I said before. But you can go to extreme. I can tell you something. In medicine, the biggest shit you're going to find is that people have differences of opinion and don't agree. I've been there many times. A few days ago, I had this dude, maybe I'd never checked his age. I was just doing a procedure and then moving on to the next person. He was they canceled his surgery because his heart rate was high, his blood pressure was high. And he says, you have these problems. What are your doctors doing? Oh, my cardiologist says that I'm too young. Again, he was in his 30s, maybe 40. I'm too young to be on these kind of medication. I say, dude, get a second opinion, get another cardiologist. And the anesthesiologist comes in soon after I had the conversation. Hey, listen, we're canceling your surgery. You're unsafe to do surgery on. So the point is that we're going to differ in opinions, but we got to come to the middle and get, if we don't have the information, go to a different source, because that's the thing that you're going to have on YouTube. If you allow me 1 minute, I'll tell you a crazy story about body. I'll tell you 2 quick stories. I have an 84-year-old woman who's coming in to remove half a uterus removed through the vagina, right? They make a slit, they pull it out through there. Now, this woman, 84-year-old American woman, white woman, she comes in, and the first thing she tells me, high in hell water. I'm going to safari in Africa in a month. So meaning this surgery is not going to stop me, and nobody's going to tell me otherwise. The surgeon who comes in, who's a young female surgeon that I respect, young in age, but she's been already in practice for a while. So she tells her the same line, and she says, because I read this in Google. And she looks at her in the face. Look at me, Mexicali. She looks at her and says, Google is wrong. If you were 25, I would understand that. But I could imagine you, an 84-year-old woman, and somewhere in a jungle in Africa, taking a suitcase, putting it on top of a Jeep. I cannot imagine all your intestine coming out through the vagina. Where's the closest hospital? Now, the funny thing, not funny, but the funny thing to that story is that a 40-year-old nurse that I work with, the same thing happened to her. She had the same procedure while at work. That happened to her more than a month later. Now, this particular job we do is not a physical where we're lifting people. My job in the emergency room, the second job is different, but this happened to her. We sent her to the operating room right from her job. Now, there's a lot of Google doctors and a lot of people who seek opinions that are very wrong. And that woman, 23-year-old, probably okay, not the 84-year-old. The dirty tank to a guppy or two, maybe okay, baby, not to some other fishes, right? That was one story. The other story, I'm sorry about this thing, but the point is that these things drive home point about the responsibility to YouTubers providing correct information. This, one of my older sisters, if she's listening, I kind of tell her, she texts me and she says, can you get me, this is a diabetic sensors. I'm wearing one right now. It's a continuous glucose monitor. And I ask her, are you diabetic? She says, no. I said, why would you want one? She's trying to me to prescribe. I said, listen, my capacity, my license does not allow me to do prescription. Another nurse, yes. Why do you want one of these? She says, because I'm trying to find out what medication peaks your blood sugar. I say, why do you need to do that? Any food that you eat eventually gets turned into glucose. Your sugar is going to peak. Oh, that my boyfriend says, and then she puts him on. Now he's an older white male, and he goes into all these theories about what the problem to the world is sugars and glucose stuff that cause a peak. And he goes on, and I let him talk for about half an hour. But again, me having the background, finally I asked the guy, I'm sorry, sir, but what is your background? He says, I'm retired, but I'm a landscaper. Okay. Because I said, where are you getting where are you getting all this scientific stuff? And I said, oh, there's a dude in YouTube that I listen to. I said, listen. And then he starts by mouthing medical people. I said, listen, you have to start listening to people on YouTube that are giving you wrong information. Go to your doctor. If you don't like that doctor, get another doctor's opinion. But, and here in the other side by the phone, while he's talking to me, I am chatting with my sister. I said, listen, don't listen to this guy, because he's an extremist and he's listening to people who are providing wrong information, right? So, and I said, what do the doctors tell him? Too much YouTube. So again, I'm sorry about it has nothing to do with fish, but it's a point about the responsibility for us to provide correct information. Something in the middle, not extreme. And that was my whole hope for this chat, was that there's extremes in everyone. Clear water does not mean healthy water. Dirty water, right? Dirty water or swamp water does not mean unhealthy water, because swamps are a healthy ecosystem, very healthy. But again, there's water movement, and that is the thing that Father Fisher, there was a comment which I responded to, where he says that In the wild, the floodwaters in the Amazon, discus lay eggs on the branches. They do. These guys here, at least two or three times a week, different pairs are laying eggs. Water changes, imitates nature, fine. But again, I responded to him. Again, that's water movement. That's water changes. It happens in nature, even when it's not apparent. It happens. But again, I'm going to extremes. And then again, I'm not trying to disagree with anybody because everybody is correct within a point, right? So I think that's what I was trying to do. So Jorge, it is 2 hours and 4 minutes. I have time. I'm not working tomorrow. But the point is that it's certainly the conversation. I've been having fun with you two. You know, you two on my right side there. I said, we need a boxing match. It's been a boxing match for almost 2 hours. You know, not really. But I have fun. And I think a lot of people in the chat have fun too. And
hey, it's entertaining at the end of the day, you know?
Well, yeah. And I genuinely want to understand. And I think I understand what Sean was trying to, the point he was trying to make, because I think there's some valid to it. And that's why if I got frustrated, it's because I couldn't get to the point where you guys would allow Sean to really clear up my questions that I had on it. You know, but that being said, I'm glad that we came together. It might have not been, you know, the conversation that we envisioned to a point, although it sort of was, because I knew what was going to happen based on the personalities that were going to be here. So, and I know that that some people can be very passionate about what they're doing, and some people can also be, you know, a little bit more relaxed, and you know, but that's okay, because at the end of the day, is the more that we are able to speak with each other and try to understand what it is we're trying to say, the better off we're all going to be at the end of the day. I have no problem with disagreeing. That's fine. I don't have to agree with anybody 100%, but that doesn't mean that we can't have a conversation or that we can't be friends. That does not mean that at all, because we're all entitled to our own opinions.
Yep.
And I think this hobby has shown me that everybody's not one single person is going to do it exactly the way I do it, or you do it, or Funk does it, or Jose does it.
I know that. Yeah.
And I think the biggest thing is, more than anything else, is trying to educate the people as to what things you might be doing that are creating success, but not necessarily because I guess where the rub has been is the fact that you this is an assumption that I'm making, Sean, that you feel that if people don't do what similar to what you're doing, that they're not going to have success.
Nope.
Okay.
I'm doing like an awareness thing.
Okay.
There's an ugly side to this. Nobody's talking about it, right? It's this stuff here, right? Please pay attention and think about it when you're setting up your environment. Think about combating this, and you'll have an easier time with your hobby, and you might not quit. And if you don't quit, it's better for us all, because then the hobby grows. When the hobby grows, we all get better fit for it, right? Or somebody else comes along and teaches us something fantastic that wouldn't have come along otherwise. I mean, that's just how these things work. So I'm not trying to say to anybody not to do anything, and I'm not even not telling anybody not to do it like me. I'm just pointing out that there's an ugly side to a very popular method, you know, and I'm saying it because I acknowledge that it's popular, and I think that there's a downside that people should hear about, and it's not.
Let me ask you this.
So I decided to talk about the downside, and that upset everybody because now I'm attacking you. I'm not attacking you. I'm simply pointing out a downside, and I think people need to be aware of it.
But I think that same downside could be fine in any aquarium if not done correctly. It's not just particular to a certain style of a setup.
I think that environment is more conducive to what I'm talking about here than others. That's my opinion. That's my opinion.
Yeah, and I can respect that.
I think people in that situation are going to run into the set of problems that I was talking about for those reasons. And that's why I'm pointing them out. And it's offending people. And I'm sorry that it's offending people. And if you think I'm peeing on your parade, I'm not. I'm trying to help somebody else who I foresee having problems that you don't foresee having problems. I'm trying to look at it from the new guy's point of view and going, oh my God, he's going to do this. So I giving him some information to help him save himself. And I don't think there's a problem with that. I don't think, and if I'm framing it in ways to get their attention, to make them think. And if that's hurting someone's feelings, I'm sorry, but it's going to help more people than it hurts. It's going to help more people than it hurts. It's going to maybe hurt or offend one or two guys out there. I'm sorry, guys. I think, honestly, I thought you had thicker skin. And that's all there is to it. That's all there is to it. You got to grow a little, and you got to have some wisdom before the skin. Otherwise, you stay soft and you hide, right? So,
Can I now?
Sure, I'm gonna let.
Can I now? All right. So I don't have a problem with your opinion. I don't. I feel like your opinion to me has just as much weight as Father Fish's opinion. I got a general issue with your delivery, and it doesn't offend me. Trust me, it don't. It's just people like you get mad when they don't get what they're not paying attention to me, and I gotta bring light to this. If you really wanted to help people, you would change your delivery. I'm just saying, if you don't want to, hold on. If you don't want to change your delivery, fine, don't. That's up to you. Just don't get mad when people call you out on it. Just that's all I'm saying.
Go ahead.
I'm done. Go ahead.
You respond? Okay. First off, not mad. Secondly, I was debating with you, sir. Okay. And that's what that was. I don't hate you at all. I don't. I won't. I'll go forward. I'll comment. You've seen, I've given you a couple of comments on your videos. I thought they were thoughtful. They might not have been exactly what you wanted to hear, but they were thoughtful. And I thought, and I didn't think they were hurtful either, but maybe I offended you in those two. I don't know. I'm just guessing. But, you have your opinion. I have mine. You think my delivery is bad? I think my delivery is effective. I think what makes people think is what's going to be effective. And, if they think about a few other variables in their hobby, I'm not hurting anybody. I'm not hurting anybody. And I haven't mentioned anybody's name, and I have only talked about a method. And here you go. Here's the downside to that method. Thanks. Food for thought. Have a nice day. Okay. Now they know. If they happen to fall upon my video, and I don't think many people will, so I don't even know why anyone's upset, because I'm like, all of us get 500 views and then it ends. That seems to be like the market for us. So I might help 500 guys take some precautions they might not have otherwise taken and save their hobby. Why not? That's where I'm coming from. So I'm sorry if you think my delivery sucks. I get that, though. I get that. I understand your point. I really do. I really do.
And I'm gonna apologize, because I know you're gonna take this the wrong way. Because I would take it the wrong way if I was about to hear what I was about to say. You're saying that, but I've watched a couple of your videos, and you're not really being true to who you are in your videos. I'm just saying, you're not really. And that was very disappointing to me.
If you're going to give me an example, you need to follow through. So
who am
I and who am I not being?
You're not being yourself. You're kind of walking back a lot of stuff that you said on your videos.
I need an example, and I need you to follow through, because you've been doing this the whole time, okay? And it's just your way of bluster. So now
no, it's not.
Follow through. Give me the examples, please.
You did one. Well, the one is the Jim. See, look, here you go. You did one. The Jim Jones one trips me out. The Jim Jones trips me out. That just the fact that you won't actually say what you want to say is kind of weak to me. But You were complaining one time about being monetized and how come people have more subs, or oh no, this is the one I like the best. And you don't get respect. You said all that stuff. You said all that stuff. And I just thought that was funny to me. And then up here you're like, well, I understand.
Well, I basically listened to a whole bunch of word salad, and you're saying you said all that stuff. I mean, you're not very good at this, son. You're not very good at this, son.
There's a channel called Discus North. Watch his videos and you'll see the difference.
Please watch them. Please do watch them. Check them out, and then comment and tell me where I've done what he says, please. You know, that word salad shit. Yeah, look for. Go to my channel. Go up in the top search section and type word salad, and find what he said.
Like this.
And please elaborate on it for me because I'd like to learn. I really would.
All right, Jose, you got anything you need to say before we get out of here?
Any final wise words? I say no. We can all agree to disagree, as they all say. And Sean, I get your point, and I agree with Funk. The delivery matters a lot. I think Branton said Jose is one cool guy.
You agree with that? That you agree with?
No.
People have 75%.
One person at work got me out of my cage, and I said, "Oh my God, Jose, I never want to see that side of you." He said, "You never will." This person pushed me to a point. Listen, I work in the third busiest emergency room in the country, right? Often number one. I see a lot of shit that happens there. And often I'm in the trauma room because of my experience of critical care. And somebody said, Jose, do you ever lose your cool? I say, why? This is what we do every day. A gunshot wound comes in, you deal with it, you get ready, clean up, you get ready for the next one that comes. And the thing is that when you do something every day, it becomes a routine. And why get upset at something when you know you do A, then you do B, then you do C, and you process? The same thing with fish keeping. Listen, guys, I was hoping to make a parallel, but the thing is, we're not going to agree. There is a process to fish keeping. You know, somebody comes in with a certain injury, you deal with it. This is what you got to do. You follow steps, right? Fish keeping, you got to cycle your tank. You got to do this. You got to do that. But the whole point is that I go back to the same circle again. We have extremes, and we have to agree. And how you deliver information matters to people because, there you go. Punches work too. Between you two.
Let's point at the chat. They're talking about Pin the Fury.
So the point at the end, we got to shake hands and say, listen, guy, it was a fun conversation. To me, it was. I was having more fun than I think as most of the people in the chat were. And you can see in the chat, I could follow the chat this time. I think I was going to tell you guys, let me know what's going on in the chat because I was not going to pay attention to the chat, but I had an opportunity to keep going back. But, if we get upset when we hear something we don't like, listen, we have to stop and listen because we don't listen to other people's point of view. And you're going to say, that guy sounds like he's talking shit, but, he has a point. Or maybe he doesn't, and I disagree with you. But, when somebody is not listening anymore, I tend to just hold back and let him talk because he's not going to listen to my point of view because it's different. And just like politics, that's why I don't discuss politics or religion because points of view are different. And you're never going to agree on something that way you are on opposite sides. The same thing with fish keeping. Dirty tank, not dirty tank. Everybody has a strong belief. So if we can meet in the middle and say there's a way of doing things and let's provide proper information to the people who listen to us. That's it. I think that was a take home for me. Yeah. And I think let's do our best. We do our best. And if we don't know, listen, I don't know, but I'm going to find out for you or check out Aquafunk. He knows a lot of shit about angelfish, for example, or short.
I make that. I make it up.
All right. Well, here's the thing. There's a couple things that I wanted to talk about. One of them, I want to thank Father Fish for being here.
Thank you, Father Fish.
Also, one of the other things is for those of you that got wrenches, I want you to know the reason why I run my chat the way I do is because that's the way Father Fish runs his. The reason behind that is any of you guys that are here in the chat and are interested in other YouTube channels, you could click on that person's name in the chat and go to their channel and see if there's content there that you like so that you could follow them. It just makes it a lot easier instead of having one person working all the time, dropping links for people. That's why I do that. I've found it very effective. And also a lot of people worry about it because they think they're going to get trolls. I haven't had that issue. I haven't seen Father Fish have that issue. So that's one of the reasons why I do that. and also just thank you for being here. Thank you guys for the super chat. Thank you, June. Thank you, Gordon. Thank you, Father Fish. And somebody just gifted 5 memberships. I know Jeff Kane had done that. Thank you guys. I appreciate that. And I want to thank all 3 of you guys that joined me today. Even though things might have gotten heated, there is no love lost from my part to any of you guys. I respect every single one of you guys. I understand that we have very strong opinions about what we believe in, and we're very, very proud of what we do. And I get that. And that's not a problem. I can appreciate that passion that exists because we all have that passion.
That's what happened. We had on the left side, we had the team calm, right? And on the right side, we had team passion. And then we butted. We had different opinions. So team passion,
and that's fine.
But that happens. That happens in debates every day. Every day. It's actually normal. I've watched it all my life. I think younger people, when that happens, they go, "Oh my God, what the fuck's going on?" But it used to be the norm, believe it or not.
Yes.
It used to be the norm. And people used to talk to each other like that, and we used to get shit done.
And it's too bad we're not all together, because I would say let's go have a fucking beer together after all this.
And I would love that. I don't even drink, but I'd go drink it.
You know, I'm not old enough.
Yeah, fuck you.
But you gotta love the sense of humor on him. I'll tell you that. He's definitely a funny kid. Young man.
I think more conversations.
I don't want to do that. That my kids hate when I call them kids too, and I keep doing it. I apologize. I realize how that because I get in trouble for that all the time, and I'm apologizing for it right now. So there you go.
And I'm glad that we were able to have a conversation and that not everybody is in agreement. I think that's good. I think different points of view are great. Because it allows you to expand your knowledge more than what you came in with. You don't have to agree with everything that is said. You don't have to, but just the fact that we're able to listen and allow somebody to share what their philosophy is or their point of view, I think there's a lot of value in that. And I think we could all learn from something from that. And with that being said, unless any of you guys have anything else to say before we get out of here, I want to thank everybody that was here with us. I thought I gave you a wrench, Father. Yeah, I see it. You're blue. And I want to thank everybody. This is by far is the most people I've had attend a live stream. I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that several people got involved and talked about it. Put it out on their social medias. I want to thank you guys for that. And we'll see you guys soon. And just again, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thanks for coming, guys.
Hooty hoo.